It is 10 o'clock. Welcome to the Gillum County Court regular meeting held in Arlington today. This meeting is called to order. We do have a quorum, and we will now have the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, additions and revisions to the agenda. We do have a few. I'll begin, and then the other commissioners may have some. We do have an addition to the consent agenda. It will be item 4.2, and that is a request of the City of Condon to extend their Gillum County Capital Investment Project grant for meter upgrade in the amount of $196,300 to November 30th, as opposed to the June 30th extension date. So that will be on the consent agenda as well. Additionally, item 6.0A, that is adding Grant Wilkins as a check signer and removing Patrick Shannon as a check signer. And item 6.0B, our finance director had some information that she received yesterday regarding the Fair Board budget audit, and that she will speak to when we come to that item. Do you have any other additions or revisions, Commissioner Wilkins? No. Okay, Commissioner Wilkins?
Just a couple at the end, meeting reports.
Oh, okay, great. All right, we will go into correspondence, and then we will go into public comment. The first item of correspondence is a letter from Gib Wilkins. He's the president of the Gillum County Public Library Board. Dear Judge Patton and Commissioners Watkins and Wilkins, it has come to my attention as the Gillum County Public Library Board President. I'm going to be abbreviating that because that's going to be said throughout this letter to Library Board President. It has come to the attention that the Gillum County Public Library Board President, that in the Times Journal paper dated August 15, 2024, there is a comment from Marta Michaelo stating that the Arlington Public Library was considering moving under the umbrella of the county and potentially calling itself the Gillum County North End Library. While all decisions regarding the library, Gillum County Public Library, are made by the county court, the library board director is tasked with filling the role of citizen advisory board to the county court on all things concerning the library. The library board has the same status as the planning commission, budget committee, road advisory committee, and all the other county committees that advise the court on decisions. The board does not hire or fire the librarian, set the budget, nor own anything. All these responsibilities are performed by the county court. There does not appear to be any record in the county court meeting minutes showing this was discussed, but the recent issue in the paper made it appear that talks have occurred. If there was a discussion as an advisory board, the library board should have been included in the discussion. The article also stated that an increase in the library's budget was used as a reason for the county to sponsor and support another library in the county. $20,000 was requested by the county maintenance department to paint the building and would not be in the next year's budget. The building that houses the library is owned by Gillum County, and all maintenance and operating costs that are the responsibility of the county court. The other $28,000 was due to the county court entering into an IGA with the Condon School District 25J to provide library services and operate the school library as a shelving location of the Gillum County Public Library. The Gillum County Court sponsoring and funding two separate library boards in the same county is problematic for the following reasons. One, currently the library is funded by SIP money. The library was working with the previous court on options to fund the county library once the SIP funds sunset. Funding and sponsoring two separate and independent library boards would be very difficult without first solving the long-term funding issue of the library in its current format. One of the ideas suggested to the library was that it become its own taxing district. This would be a last resort, as we would like to keep our employees, as county employees, instead of the more expensive, due to increased employee benefit expenses, route of special district employees. A large part of the success of the library is due to being a county department. 2, in 1927, the State Library Board informed both the Gillum County Public Library and the Condon Public Library that the state would no longer provide financial support to 2 libraries in the same town. The decision was made to shut down the Condon Public Library and only have the Gillum County Library. Since that time, there has been no Condon Public Library. It has been operated as a Condon branch of the Gillum County Public Library. Historically, there are multiple instances of trying to consolidate all public and school libraries in the county under one board and have each location operated as a branch of the library, either receiving their funding from the Gillum County or becoming their own taxing district. Currently, the library is working in conjunction with the Condon School District to operate the school library. This IGA agreement has worked very well this past year. In the 1970 Gillum County Long Range Plan, there was a section concerning the future of libraries in Gillum County. It references the Condon Committee supported the Oregon Regional Library Proposal Plan. The Arlington Committee did not. Research shows that the plan was a statewide plan for the State Library Board to only support countywide library board districts and to have the independent municipal libraries, such as what Arlington Public Library is, become a branch of the county entity. With the current state library provides support for 2 separate and independent libraries in the same county, especially in a county less than 2,000 people. Just for reference, if Gillum County were a city, it would still be considered a small city, less than 5,000 people. 4, the library board should be involved in any future discussions of the matter. If SIP funds sunset, it can result in reduction of services provided to the library at the Condon branch. The library is department of Gillum County, the same as a road department, juvenile department, or any of the other county departments. For example, would the court consider forming a separate North End Road Department? It is a consensus of the Gillum County Library Board that the Gillum County Court fund an Arlington branch of the Gillum County Public Library. This could be accomplished by 1, the Gillum County Court could enter into an IGA with the city of Arlington for an Arlington branch of the Gillum County Public Library to operate in the current library space of Arlington City Hall. All books and materials would become the property of Gillum County Public Library. 2, the state library statutes require a minimum of 5 board members and a maximum of 15. The Arlington Public Library Board and Gillum County Board could consolidate and operate as one board, making recommendations to the county court and library director on operation of the Condon and Arlington branches. County support and funding would allow for an expansion of services at the Arlington branch, and employees and substitutes could be shared between the branches. If the county court wishes to pursue the formation of a North End library separate from the Gillum County Board, the procedures for forming a public library are under ORS 357.417, Section C. A vote of the people of Gillum County would then be possible. I also believe that under ORS 357.621, there should be a public hearings held for the residents of Arlington to discuss the city of Arlington withdrawing support for the public library. The Gillum County Board would be more than happy to meet with the county court to discuss the items I will be addressing in this letter. The court is always welcome to attend the board meetings in person or via Zoom. They are the first Thursday of the month, 3 p.m. at the City of Condon Council Chambers. And as I said, this letter was written by Gib Wilkins, who is the president of the Gillum County Public Library Board. This next item of correspondence is from Denny Newell, and it's an email. Judge Patno, Commissioners Watkins and Wilkins. I like to think of Gillum County grants in general as investments, and when I do, several things come to mind that I'd ask you to consider. 1, opportunities to invest sometimes come from out in left field and unexpectedly, limiting focusing the range of grant categories, i.e. early childhood education, housing, industrial development, restricts investment possibilities, and setting rigid grant application timelines reduces those opportunities even further. I encourage you to establish the greatest degree of flexibility in order to achieve the highest return on investment. We shouldn't miss an investment opportunity in, for example, agriculture merely because it wasn't a focus category, nor should we miss it because it surfaced in September when the grant cycle began in May. 2, the most recent court altered a previous court's directive that placed final grant approval with the Budget Committee. I strongly agree with the recent court that final decisions, obligations, or denying court resources rest in the elected officials, the court, rather than in appointed committees. Next item is a flyer that Ron Wyden will be, Senator Ron Wyden will be in Condon on Sunday, August 25th at 1:00 p.m. for a town hall. Next item is a letter from the Gillum County Historical Society. This letter is signed by their board, Eileen Potter, Daryl Potter, Penny Fender, Sarah. It isn't signed. They noted their names. This is who authored the letters. Penny Fender, Sarah Rucker, Jason Campbell, Paul Barnett, Jeremy Kirby, Brooklyn Griffith, Lynn Cowdrey, Rod McGuire, and Jordan Mayo. Regarding the Kelly Consulting Services Program, the Historical Society Board met August 15th, and consensus was we would not be utilizing this service. In the early stage, we did express interest in participating for the sole purpose of grant writing mentorship. We felt at that time it was an area that we could use education and direction on. Several of us have worked with Nick Nash from Eastern Oregon Business Source Connection in Pendleton, learning to write grants, and were successful with awards for several projects, including our second agricultural building. However, we thought perhaps others could utilize a Kelly Consulting service. Since then, our most recent curator has experience in grant writing and has taken this on for the Historical Society and will continue in that capacity as needed and management of these grants for the Historical Society. We appreciate the program the court extended to the nonprofits for helping them with sustainability, as well as those that may need further assistance in setting up business plans, bylaws, and strategic planning. Last letter is an invitation to the Gillum County Fair by a 4-H member, Victoria Cadusto, and she has a lamb named Pickles, and the fair will be held from Wednesday, August 28th through Saturday, August 31st, and she invites all to the livestock auction, which is August 31st at 5:00 p.m., and market showmanship is 9:00 a.m. on August 30th, the Gillum County Fair. That's what it's all about. Okay, that's the correspondence we have. Public input. I am just gonna read, we're gonna try something a little different. And this is what we're gonna do. This is a test. In-person comment, you'll sign in, or you may raise your hand. When your name is called, you can come up and approach and give your testimony. That's in-person public comment. For anyone on video, those online after the in-person comment will be asked if they have public input, either orally or by chat. For those who want to comment on a specific agenda item, when that agenda item comes up, they will sign in, raise their hand, come up, give their comment in person. Same thing for those on video. We'll ask them online if they have anything to say. The reason we're doing this is the court, online attendees, and the recorder have found it difficult to hear comments from the audience, and there are instances of people talking at the same time. So for this reason, the procedure above is being tested. So we're just refining the public comment, so not so much back and forth. And we'll see how it works. We want to definitely encourage public comment, but we also need to make sure that we control the meeting, okay? So we'll go ahead and begin. Individuals wishing to address the county court may do so at this time. Your name will be called by the chair, at which time you will come forward and provide testimony. Speakers are asked to give their name and address and limit their comments to 3 minutes. The first in person I have is Marta Michaelo.
Thank you. Marta Michaelo, 6, no, I have to say. Okay.
That's where the sound is.
Marta Michaelo, 69698 Barnett Road, Arlington, Oregon, 97812. The reason I'm here today is to respond to the letter that was sent to the court from Gibb. And just to let it be known on the record that the Arlington Public Library has not addressed the county court. We haven't been in any meetings. We haven't asked for anything. And just let me give you a little history here. And if anybody here in the audience, which I know there's several, have been at recent Arlington City Council meetings, they know what this is about. The Arlington Public Library is not under the auspices of the county or the city or a 501c3. The only, I believe it's the only library in the state of Oregon that is nothing. We don't, the county doesn't want us, well, I'm not gonna say that. The city doesn't want us. The county doesn't know about us too much yet, other than we got this letter from Gibb. And he could have just picked up the phone and called me and I would have told him, which I wish he would have done, which is unfortunate. But the whole reason we started this process was that we found out that our librarian of almost 24 years has no protection other than we pay her, we do the workers' comp, we do the health benefits. The public library does everything. The city gives us money, absolutely. They give us $38,000. The county gives us money, $25,000, of which comes out of the county library budget. It's been that way for, I didn't do the research that Gibb did, and I appreciate it. I learned something from his letter, so I appreciated that very much. You know, I didn't know the back history. And so when we started this process of going to the city to get them to bring the library under them so that our librarian could have the health benefits, have to be a city employee, that's what started it. Then it was like, well, let's think out of the box. What else is possible? Maybe there's something else possible that we could go to the court and get something. So that's where that's all been. It's just all been brainstorming, thinking out of the box. What else can we do? Our librarian is going to retire in a few years. We want that position to be attractive to somebody else to come into. And so that's what's driving all this. But for the record, we've not gone to the county court, and doesn't mean we won't, because we're really just considering all options. It's all about negotiation. Our board is a pretty strong board. We want to have our own autonomy, and that could be a showstopper, absolutely. And if in a perfect world, the city of Arlington would embrace us, take our employees on as theirs, and offer health benefits, offer all that thing. In a perfect world, that's how it would be. And our status quo would remain the same. So anyway, that's it. But you never know. We might be back. So if we are, you'll hear about us in advance. I have talked to Mary Reeser, who is the librarian for the Gillum County Library. She is, we've talked about bringing our boards together, having talks. We just haven't done it yet. So again, it's just been all brainstorming and me being out there trying to do something for our library. So it's unfortunate that it's been a jillion years the way it is, and it doesn't have to be that way. So thank you. My 3 minutes are up.
Common ground is we believe in literacy on both ends of the county, and we're all on the same page.
That's exactly right. And both libraries are great libraries. They both do the same things. They're nice buildings. They have great librarians. It's a system that really works. So the difference is huge, and the Gillum County Library is huge. I mean, in budget, ours is pretty small, $88,000 versus $240,000. And we pay everything.
Thank you. Okay, Carrie Cowan.
I'm Carrie Cowan, and I work with help. Thank you. I'm the treasurer.
She's coming this
And
way.
I live in Arlington, Oregon, and my
Okay.
address is 1235 Wright Road.
Go ahead, whenever you're ready.
Okay, so we have appreciated the last few years, your grandfathering Arlington Help, because we were running on a shoestring, and it's been very, very helpful. I gave you a copy, and very appreciative. I gave you a copy of what we have spent this past year on our grant monies, so you could see. Last year, because of going through COVID and all, things are always changing. They're always evolving. And I usually divide it up into energy grants that helps with heating and fuel when people run out of gas that come through our town. And then with our general and your guys. And last year, because of, I don't understand why, but with COVID, there wasn't a lot of need. And so the monies that I had always put in there from your guys kind of sat. And so, and this past year it's changed. The electric company is wanting to turn off heat for a small amount. Capco at this point has run out of funds until their new funding period in October. They have a few funds, if available, for handicapped people, but I put the full 10,000 in our general fund because during COVID, our food that came to us, the meat was very spare. And a lot of people were buying, you know, the discontinued meats at the grocery store, people were buying them. So there wasn't an excess. So we started having to buy our own meat to provide for our people. So I will say that last year we spent $3,392.73 to assist families with their electrical. So.
Oh, what was that number again, Carrie?
$3,392.73.
I was looking at
Yeah, I
Okay,
have
I
it
see.
all itemized. So is there any question?
When did you receive the 10,000 in the year? Was it in the winter?
No, our budget runs from July 1st to June 30th.
Okay,
So usually about this time.
okay. So make the request for the next,
Yes, please.
this fiscal year we're currently in.
Yes, please.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
I thought
Thank you for the report and thank you for coming. It's very needed.
I was January, February.
Do you have-
We just gave you guys extra money for helping with
Yes, you
broken
did.
pipes and all that
Yes.
stuff. That wasn't part of this.
Oh, that's what I was thinking that this was
No,
for.
and if you would like a report on that, I surely could. I don't know if you wanted it this time or next time.
What you could do is you could submit one in writing and then we can
Okay.
include it in the packet for meetings in September, whether it's the 1st or the 2nd.
Okay.
Okay?
Which would be
It's-
nice to show how it helped families.
Yeah, I'm still not done.
Yeah.
I still have a lot of skirting to do. We have almost about $2,000 left. But it did buy electricians, a lot of water. People didn't have water in their homes, some electricity, and help. I'm only allowed to give $500 per family per year. Some of these people had, and so I was able to assist with that. So fixed a couple roofs. I mean, I'll write it in a report.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, do we have any online comments from the public? Nothing? All right. Okay, Okay, that concludes public comment, and we will go into Gillum County Public Health Update. Daleen Wilson, Administrator.
Good morning.
Morning.
How is everybody?
Good.
Good. Thank you for having me, Leah. Thank you for inviting me. Grant, I think you are the only one I have not officially met, so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So it's been a little while since we've done a public health update. And we've just completed our second year hosting public health in Gillum County. So I think it's
Stop you for a second. It sounds like there's a phone in the back going off. And we're gonna make sure we can hear you. Just a moment.
I don't know who it belongs to, but that's
Okay.
the closest I can.
Thank you. Go ahead.
sure. Yeah, so taking the opportunity to provide you guys an update and an opportunity to ask me questions. Sorry, I should have introduced myself. Daleen Wilson, Public Health Administrator. I live in Condon. And I've been doing the work since we started with the basically the research to see what it would take to bring public health to Gillum County, and since then have kind of moved up the ladder as others have left. So my thought today, and I'm open to feedback, was just to kind of give you some highlights of the different programs that we're running and how those are going and how they have been going for the past 2 years. And of course, if you have any questions on that, feel free to shoot them to me. And I kind of have just, like I said, little highlights. I was going to go in order according to what the numbers are listed as program elements. And you might be familiar with those through the IGAs that you guys see and sign. So does that sound like a good start? Okay.
Which those are really long, so.
The IGAs.
Yes,
oh
I
my
usually
gosh.
don't read clear through those.
I have read through all of them. That's kind of my job.
Good for
But yeah,
you.
it's a lot of information. It's a lot of information. So first off, we have our communicable disease and STI oversight. I will say, luckily for Gillum County, it is, I should knock on wood somewhere so I don't jinx us, it's a pretty light load. And so our responsibilities are, getting into the database on a daily basis, checking to see if any reportables have come through. If any reportables do come through, then we're responsible for calling the patients, getting more information on what's happening, offering follow-up services, testing services, and all of that. The biggest thing with the communicable disease right now is the funding is little to none. We used to get a decent amount through the STI program. That is ending this year, so we're no longer getting funding, and that cuts about $12,000 out of what we're able to use. And so thankfully that county contribution is going to play a vital role in our communicable disease work. And that's something that we have to do. It's not something that we opt into, it's a have to.
Yeah, it's mandated, but
Yeah.
not necessarily paid for.
It's exactly, yeah. The Public Health Emergency Preparedness Program, I really look towards Chris Fitzsimmons. She's kind of the preparedness guru. And so I've been working really closely with her and updating documents that have come from North Central and started with North Central, but tweaking those to make them Gillum County specific. And I'm also in the middle of working on a contract with somebody here in county that will be helping with that, so we can kind of expedite that process and have somebody else involved in it that knows a lot more than I do. But that's going really well. Chris, of course, hosts a lot of training for the sheriff's office, dispatch, emergency management, emergency services. And so we've been able to attend those. We've also helped to provide some trainings on both ends, so Condon and Arlington, sheriff's office, dispatch, fire, EMS. And so last year we did a fentanyl training. And then this year we just completed in June a ChemPack training. And so those have been well attended. it seems to be going well. Prevention work, so that's our tobacco prevention, alcohol and drug prevention. We're doing a lot of collaboration within our schools. We brought in 3 different speakers to speak to the student bodies, and the speakers come to both Common schools and Arlington schools. And I've gotten really good feedback from teachers and kids on how that was accepted. We also had the last speaker that came in, Fossil and Spray, joined us in Condon, so we were able to reach a little bit further outside of our county, but reach a few more kids, and that was awesome. I like, as many as we can reach, the better. We are doing collaborations with CCS, Behavioral Health, Community Counseling Solutions. Last year, we were able to provide a summer program for kids. Our intention was to do it this summer too. And CCS, so we basically put money, CCS fronts it, we put money to help support it to CCS. They had somebody that was going to run it this year and backed out last minute, and we weren't able to find anybody to replace. So unfortunately, that did not happen this year. But we're hoping that we can do that again in the future. And again, great feedback from families on, that it was needed and the kids enjoyed it.
It was pretty successful the year before when you guys had it.
It was,
Yeah.
yeah, it was. I'm hoping we can get some faces in there and keep it going and running. We're working with the schools a lot. Like I said at the beginning, we're in kind of constant contact with the schools on, how we can help them, how we can support them. Beyond the speakers, I think we've had better success in Condon of them reaching out to us on projects that they're looking to do. And so some of those are like Katie Hams, she's has been the counselor at the Common School. So she's helped kind of take the lead on hosting like a movie at the school and movies in the park. We had conversations around sensors, like vape sensors, that didn't go through unfortunately, but Common schools are really good about like hitting us up about how, we're looking at this idea, can you be of help? We helped with prom this last year as well and trying to make it bigger and better so kids stay and hang out longer, and are working on trying to combine schools to make it bigger. We've reached out to Arlington about support for prom. That hasn't happened yet. That doesn't mean we're not there, but what was the other one? We're in the middle of another project with Condon. Just got off the phone with Katie before I came in here. I don't want to say what that is quite yet because I want her to be able to talk to the superintendent and families before that information's put out. But there's another really cool project that's going to come out this year that is going to be great for prevention efforts and socialization and things like that. So I would love, I know you guys are well embedded in the Arlington community, and so just trying to find those pathways and continue to outreach and let those entities know that we're here and we want to support in as many ways as possible and use, the resources that we have.
We'll do that.
WIC is going really well. So we're providing that. We've got the Condon clinic, and then we come down to Arlington and work out of the clinic in Arlington. I will say the clinic here in town has been awesome to work with. They've just kind of opened the doors and let us come in as we need to. Having Carrie there has been really great. She's been, a great partner with us and allowing us in and out. So we're offering appointments twice a month. So we come to Arlington one day a month and we're in Condon one day a month. We try to set appointments around that. There are always, phone calls that come and don't work with those schedules essentially. So we're making special accommodations as needed. But our clientele we started, I think, with 23 participants. We're up to 38 right now. So we've grown quite a bit. I know that's still a really small number. We are the smallest agency. We are also the newest agency. It's had, to be added and to the state. That was very new for everybody, but it seems to be going well. I have my first review with WIC. It's every other year. So that is happening in September. So we'll get a really good idea on how we're doing, how they think we're doing. WIC is another one of those programs where you don't have to offer it. We think it's a really great resource for families. So that was a priority for us in getting involved with this. But the funding with that is very, very low as well. And so the county contribution is huge to help support that program. The newest program we started is the Baby's First program. That's a home visiting program. We just got the approval to start that in May, late May, early June. So we're still looking for like our first family, our first participant that wants to give that a go. But essentially our nurse, who's Ashley McIntosh, would go into homes and help, provide feedback, resources, height, weight checks, give family opportunities to ask questions and get supports where they need them. So we're really excited to be able to offer that to families. As of course, we're far away, we're not near hospitals, and being able to have that support is pretty cool in a rural area.
Are you guys still working with Wheeler County on the Baby's First too?
So yes, that intention is there. Our conversation was like, we wanted to make sure we were running it, like have our own participants first before we're outreaching to another county, to make sure that, we kind of have all of our ducks in a row before we're doing it for somebody else. But yes, that conversation is still happening. Yeah, good. Immunizations are a big one. We're responsible for making sure that kiddos get immunized, and even if they don't have insurance or funds to do that, we offer them for free. We work with the schools on that. They have to follow what kids are immunized, who is not. We're responsible for reporting to the state as to what the numbers look like, and then follow through. If kids don't get immunizations or exemptions, then we have to send out exclusion orders to families saying that they can't go to school. We have, since we started, hosted 2 immunization clinics through the Arlington clinic. So we come to Arlington for the kiddos there and offer, appointments and walk-ins to come in and be able to get those immunizations before those dates hit. So we typically do those like early October to get them a little bit of time in school and administration to know, who needs what. And then again, late January, early February, before the exclusions occur in mid-late February. So we've had, it's been a good program that's utilized. The last 2, reproductive health. That's less about clinical care. So it's not a clinical service. It's more about referrals. So if families are in need, we get them in contact with providers near the area. The Condon School asked us this past year to come in and do reproductive health classes for the 6th through 8th grades. So it was a week long towards the end of school for about an hour and a half, where the PAs went in and, did all the sex ed talks and STI talks, things like that. And so we've offered that to Arlington as well. But it seemed to go over well. I know the guys liked being up there and, the involvement with the kids. We're also able to provide like free condoms to both clinics and have those out and available in the community. And the last one, our biggest program element, is kind of a balloon term of modernization. That's our biggest pot of funding. It is there to support other programs like our communicable disease, environmental health, emergency preparedness. So we use those funds to help support those as well. But basically that program element has been brought in to help increase the capabilities of public health, LPHAs, local public health. And get everybody on the same page, kind of, I mean, everybody's gonna run things differently, but it gives us the funding to kind of expand and increase needs as we see fit. And that one is helping to support, so the clinic still hasn't completed the remodel portion, and so part of that funding is gonna help in the remodel completion of the clinic.
Okay.
Which is all that procurement stuff, so, okay, goes, ties back to
Slow,
that.
tedious process, and Lisa's doing a lot of work on that. Yeah, good questions. It's a lot of information. I know when you haven't like,
So
been
I would
involved
just like to
with it.
point out too, that and I know from helping Daleen, all the behind the scenes work that nobody knows that she does, like every one of those program elements comes with a pot of money, and every one of those elements has to have its own budget that passes through OHA, and they're very particular. And then you have to do your quarterly big report. So, yeah, there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that she has to do that nobody will ever see, but
No, I think that goes with any
Busy
job
work,
though, too,
yeah.
right?
she has done a phenomenal job, so.
Thank you.
Thank you for the work you do, and I think it's very important. The prevention, the WIC, all of it is really needed, and hopefully we can get some outreach in Arlington for the prevention stuff.
We're still working on it, but like I said, I'm always looking towards others that are embedded in the community a little bit more. That can just kind of help push the word of like, we're here, we have funding, we want to utilize it as much as possible, of course, in our communities. That's what bringing public health to Gillum County was about, was to bring that funding to our, to our own citizens and utilize it in ways that are pertinent to us.
Do you have questions, Greg?
I'll catch up with you sometime in the near
Sure.
future here
Yeah.
and visit with you, and
Sounds great.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And I would just like to say too, that Daleen helped a lot when we had the big Lone Rock fire. In conjunction with Chris, she did a lot of legwork, so.
Chris does a lot of the work, but I was there, helping. I
Where you
basically checked in with her every day, like, what can I do to help you out? Whether it was being up at the fairgrounds to get those ready and prepared, or, if we need to get like air filters for families, just be, having that information handy and ready to go. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for driving all the way.
Of course.
Now we are to item 4.0, consent agenda, and the two items are the minutes from the regular meeting of August 7th, 2024, and the extension of the capital investment grant for the city of Condon for their water meter upgrade in the amount of $196,300 to November 30th. Is there any questions about the minutes of the extension? Okay, is there a motion?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
I will second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Okay. Next item. Unfinished business. Consider approval of compensation rate for Gillum County interns. This was a continuation from the discussion from the last meeting, and
Are you doing these first?
Yeah, let me get there. What do you say?
Are you doing the 6.0 A and B?
Not yet.
Okay.
We're gonna go ahead and do 5.1 first, and then we'll get to those.
Okay.
Yeah, we approved that in that consent agenda. Thank you. Okay, the definition of interns, as I understand it, is youth who are working for Gillum County, not youth that are working out in the programs, the youth employment programs. So we can discuss this. There are some youth working in the library I understand, but there wasn't any youth working in the courthouse as interns this last year. It can happen next summer. Do we want to set it at minimum wage? Do we want to set a range? It's up to us to decide how we want to proceed with this.
So my thought is, because we've been through this before, we have to at least set it at the minimum wage. But if we start with having rates all over the place, are we gonna run into a problem with BOLI or pay equity, or by letting people just decide what if they like somebody, they're gonna pay them more, and if they don't? I know that Dewey had interns that he had paid more, and we at one time suggested that he do job descriptions actually on them and classify them differently.
Right,
So,
as seasonal or something like that.
yeah,
So do we want to set minimum wage? We could do that, and then as minimum wage changes, we can always revisit this if it doesn't work.
yeah.
Okay,
When he did that, did he like have some suggested prices or
Well, he
for the hourly?
had promised the people that he hired that I think they were gonna make $18 an hour.
And
At the time when we only had the 13, 20 or whatever it was at the time, I don't remember.
Right,
there is a little bit of a difference because there are people who aren't youth
Yeah,
that are working, and that's maybe
like
where
college students
college
or,
students.
yeah.
And they can get a different job and make more than minimum wage too, so there's,
And
Pros and
I think that, the word seasonal would
Yeah.
be better, like what you just said,
I
because
agree,
that's really what they are.
designate.
I
the
mean, he
difference.
hires them
Mhm.
for the summer to help with the paving projects and stuff like
Right.
that.
Okay, do we have a motion? And do you want to continue to discuss this?
Do we need to, I would just say, I would move to, change the hourly compensation rate for interns, to no less than the minimum wage at $13.70 an hour.
Okay. Is there a second?
I will second that motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Did you get the motion? Okay.
Sorry about that. I
That's okay.
had to,
Well, we had to amend it, so that's
yeah.
fine. Okay, we are to new business. 6.0A,
There we
Thank
are.
you,
Sorry.
6.0 bank account. Get to that. Would Brooklyn like to address this? Are you online?
Yes, sorry, what were we at now?
On bank account authorization?
Yeah, I think this is just a generic request that we missed back in our July meeting to remove Pat Shannon as a signer on our disbursements and payroll accounts, and then add Grant Wilkins as a signer to our disbursements and payroll accounts. Historically, we have had the commissioners be signers plus our county clerk. So we're just trying to get in line with that.
Okay, and we'll need to be specific in the motion when we get to that with those two specific account numbers. The
Okay.
two motions.
I move to approve the removal of Pat Shannon from Gillum County Bank of Eastern Oregon bank accounts 0165 and 0268 as an authorized signer effective immediately.
Is there a second?
Can I second?
Yes.
All right, I will second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next motion?
I move to approve Grant Wilkins as an authorized signer on the Gillum County Bank of Eastern Oregon accounts 0165 and 0268 effective immediately. So,
I will second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
I should have stated.
Hey.
my name.
All right.
No, it's. You're not,
Consider, oh, excuse me, I missed, 6.0B. 6.0B. Want to address this one as well? This is on the Fair Board audit.
Oh, yes. So just kind of in discussions with, well, I guess to go back a little bit, in June, we elected to go with Singer Lueck as our auditor for our fiscal year 23-24 audit, which was a change from the previous auditor, which had been doing it for 3 years, I believe. But then prior to that, we had an auditor 5 years. Prior to that, we had an auditor that was auditing for an extensive amount of time as well. In talking with our new auditors, it just kind of, the question got brought up as to why we do a second audit for the Fair Board. After we kind of dug around a bit and talked to a Fair Board member as well as the court, it's believed that maybe that request came down from the Fair Board or a previous county court, just for their audit requests. They're not a separate entity or a separate district of any kind. We have no statute regulations that require us to provide them a second audit. So in conversations with our auditor, it was just kind of discussed that they can be audited under our audit that we do for the county, and no need for a second audit. So I guess I would just like the county court to kind of discuss that and see if they know any history as to why that may have been done, or if they see a need for it to be continued in the future. Yeah.
What is the cost to do that separate audit for the Fair Board?
The separate audit would be $7,500.
Okay.
I believe it was like 4,500 or something before. Smart is still here. Did they even used to? At some point along the line, they said that they had to be audited
Right, we were
separately.
told at one point that we required a second audit because we run our own, the way the money comes through from the state and all the different, we take it with the auction and we take in a lot of money. And so that, as far as I remember, Leah, really came from the auditor
Okay.
saying that we needed to have the second audit. We actually discussed this in our Fair Board meeting last week. And the cost scared us, because it went up considerably. And,
Which Gillum County's always paid for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Allen County has paid for it, but still it went up $3,000. I mean, that's a big chunk of change. And if the auditor doesn't think we need another one, then,
Okay.
you know.
I mean, we can supply, we
give everything.
basically supplied everything
Yeah.
to the other auditor. They just issued a separate report, so,
They're still auditing the books. It's just through the counties.
yeah.
And they would they came to the Fair Board office and spent a day with our secretary and, went through everything that they needed to go through. I think there was a time. when
We usually, I
Like, sit
usually
stuff
copy
down,
and
yeah.
give them a copy of the books.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So if they'll include it in the other one for the same price,
Right.
I don't see a problem with that.
Okay. And I did ask Brooklyn if she thought we needed to make a motion if we were in favor, and she didn't think any action needed to be taken. So it was just a discussion, if we're comfortable with that, of is there a reason that we don't understand? So,
Because we don't, as far as I know, the Fair Board itself does not file that audit anywhere.
No,
I
we get a
mean,
copy of it, but it
yeah,
doesn't go to the state or anything, that the county takes care of all of that.
but they should be able to address that fund within the big
Yeah.
audit.
It's not I mean, the same as, the road department, the library, they have their own separate board, but they still operate under the umbrella of our general ledger. We hold all the money from the state. If you guys, again, aren't a separate district or entity, so the money is being pushed to the county, which then we push out to the Fair Board. The only recommendation that the auditors had was that we start to receive monthly reconciliations, monthly statements to put into our GL, which I think in discussions with Chris Fitzsimmons, that's an easy thing to provide. So that's my suggestion, is just keeping the Fair Board under the umbrella of the county courts audit, and then moving forward, just working together on keeping track of
Well,
that.
and as those auditors go through it, they'll be able to guide us on
Yeah.
what we should do, so. But we have all that stuff, so that we can provide you guys.
Thank you very much. So
The Fair Board only has two, outside of the LGIP, which is held within the county. We have a savings account and we have a checking account,
Mhm.
which we've discussed moving everything over to the county court, but at fair time, it would be such a,
No, I understand.
it would be,
And I think that's a good discussion to have now that this position that I am in has been created. Beforehand, there was never a dedicated person to accounts payable, so
Yeah.
I'm in agreement that like when it comes around to fair time, that's probably a big load to ask of somebody who also has a job doing something else for the county, but I think it's a discussion that we can have in the future regarding whether or not they need our help or want our help for that time of year or how it looks in the future, but.
Okay. So the Fair Board budget will be included with the general budget. Excuse me, the Fair Board audit will be included with the general Gillum County audit.
okay.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is consider approval of filing and recording of Mesa Industrial Park partition plot 2024-03 and subdivision plat 2024-04. Ellen Wagner, she wrote the briefing on this because the documents ended up in the county clerk's office, but I do know we have Brad Baird here as well. So Ellen, did you want to speak to this first, and then if you're on, and then Brad Baird will address it, since you did the briefing.
Nope, Anderson and Perry can go forward.
So just have them go forward? All right, come on out. Brad Baird from Anderson Perry.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to speak to you on this. Yeah, these are both events that occurred because the city of Arlington just never managed the property up there for future development. And so first, Dan Meter, the city's planner, and Anderson Perry, city's engineer, worked closely with the county and the county plan at that time and devised the best way to do this. And the first one was a partition to separate the property from the bluff down in the county from the property above the bluff in the city. So that's what the partition is, just kind of cut the property in half and separated county and city properties. And then the second is a partition which created separate lots for future potential development versus just having the thing be one big lot. And so that's what those two events were. They went through and were approved by both planning commissions. Your county surveyor has approved and signed them. I believe your planner has too, the city's planner has. So I think at this point, it's just time for final approval and recording, but I'm here if you have any questions for what the whole process was or anything that happened.
Yeah. Okay, we do have the Mylars here to sign.
Yeah.
So do we have any questions? Okay, I did a little research on this since I'm new, and I think there's been times when a county court would just walk in and sign their approval, but I also received feedback that it might be a good idea to take formal action on it in your county court meeting. So
Yeah.
I think that's the way we'll do it from here on, likely. Do we have a motion? And there is a suggested motion in the county clerk's briefing.
I move to approve the Mesa Industrial Park petition plot 2024-03 and subdivision plan 2024-04 as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the Mesa Industrial Park partition plat 2024-03 and subdivision plan 2024-04. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Judge,
you.
appreciate your thoroughness
Yes.
on this.
Thank you very much. There was a little bit of a trick with the planning because they were brand new, but we got the documents and we got it taken care of.
Yeah,
So
thank you very much.
yes, and so we're gonna get the signatures and get it back to the county clerk's office today.
Okay, great.
Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is Soil and Water Conservation District request. I do believe there's been a recent 11th hour change in the topography, but there may be another funding request. So we're gonna hear what you have to say. I think we have a presentation by winners, and we also have Chet Wilkins, who is the assessor, and also a board member for the SWCD, Soil and Water Conservation District.
Would we like to discuss the ask for the imagery before we watch the presentation?
Sure, let's go ahead.
Okay, so initially, we thought that it would be beneficial to have pictometry or eagle view, get a flight of the burned area. We thought
Regarding the Lone Rock fire. I
Yes,
think
the
we
Lone
just
Rock
need to
fire,
make
sorry,
sure-
yes.
Yeah,
we got an initial bid of 18,000, and since then it's been revised to 24,000. And the neighboring counties, Wheeler County's opted not to participate in the flight, and so has Morrow County. So we've decided that this probably isn't our best option, that this money could be spent better somewhere else. We have flights from 2012, 20, and 23. So we have a very recent flight that we can use to find the fencing and the areas that are going to need to be restored.
Did you say 2012 and 23?
Yeah, in 12, 20, and 23.
Okay.
So we have imagery from April of 23, so it's
Okay.
very recent. So at this point, the ask for the imagery, we no longer think that that's what we need. We have another better, less expensive plan. I'll let Herb speak to that.
Yeah, so we can order satellite imagery for about half the price of the other flights. So it's not as high of quality as the stuff that Assessor's Office has, but it will be good enough for post-fire inventory, such as looking at the dozer lines and things like that. So,
And it gets larger.
and it's larger too. Yeah, and so we'll be looking at the whole, at the SWC, we have to plan on the watershed scale. So we're gonna be looking at the whole upper Rock Creek watershed. So that encompasses Wheeler and Morrow County. So we have funds at the district that we can use to purchase this satellite.
Where this bid was only for the 50,000 acres that are in Gillum County.
okay. All right. Are you ready for your presentation?
I think so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can you see me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for the opportunity to present on this. This is, so to present on the fence situation out at Lone Rock. We've been working with the landowners and partners to come up with a plan to help folks. So going to go through the fire, some of the issues regarding fence that has created, what we're looking at as far as how to solve these problems, and then looking long-term into the future with some innovative outside the box ideas. So we can go next slide, please.
Right here.
You can just push the blinking arrow down there. So this is just the boundary of the fire here. The lines, straight lines going through it are the county lines, but we can go to the next slide, please. So 137,000 acres burned, around 50,000 acres in Gillum County were burned. And so those 50,000 acres support about 2,100 cow-calf pairs. In Gillum County, using Chet's imagery, Roger Lathrop was able to map 300 miles of fence inside the burned area. It's $6 a foot to rebuild fence. That's the federal government cost share. So looking at that 300 miles, we're looking at $9.5 million to replace that fence. Now we're also talking about all of this, everything with fires, time is of the essence. We have to move quickly on a lot of this stuff. As far as this fencing goes, it's not going to go quickly. It's going to take years to build this fence. So this is a problem we're facing. So next slide, please. Just go and click the arrow one more time. Yep, and again. There we go. So here's some of the issues. These aren't all the issues out there that we're looking at. This is around grazing and fencing. So some folks lost almost 100% of their grazing pastures. We need additional grazing to help these folks out in a time of need. And it's tough to look around the county and see tens of thousands of acres of perennial grass stands that we can't utilize. And a big problem why we can't utilize it is because there's no infrastructure there anymore. When CRP came out, a lot of folks got rid of their cows. didn't need to maintain those fences anymore. And it was just the way things happened. And so now what we want to do is figure out how can we graze these acres and do it on a short timeline. Next slide, please. So I'm not going to read this. And this is the virtual fence. This is the idea that we think can help solve major problems. This is just a list that I asked Roger to come up with of all the beneficial actions we can do using this new technology. And I'm just going to read what it is. So for folks that may not know. So virtual fencing is it's a relatively new technology. It allows ranchers to control livestock distribution in rangeland landscapes without physical fences. Livestock wear collars that communicate with GPS and reception towers to form a virtual fence set by the rancher or land manager. When the livestock reach the limit of the virtual fence, auditory stimuli, a series of loud beeps emit from the collar. If livestock continue their direction of travel beyond boundaries of the virtual fence, they receive a benign shock. Cattle have demonstrated the ability and tendency to rapidly learn the virtual fencing cues, eventually responding to audio cues alone. So this is the technology. What I'd like to do next is go over, there's a big long list of all the things we can do with it. I want to go over our major considerations with this technology. So next slide, please. So right now we have so much grass out there that we can't utilize, and there are folks that out at Lone Rock we're able to find pasture, emergency pasture, and this isn't going to last forever. We have to come up with a plan moving forward, short term and long term. But looking at this fire, we don't want to put cows back out there for a year, that's 2 or sometimes 3 years. So that's got a lot of, we have to rest that, and so we have to come up with alternatives. And so we think this virtual fencing is the answer. We can also use it out, you can see the picture there of Lone Rock with the burns, the black surrounding it. There are big pastures out there that were partially burned. And so if we can use this technology to have them just graze a portion that wasn't burned, that's, potentially 10,000 acres that we're aware of that we could use out there with this technology, which we can't now. They would have to put up electric fence or build fence in that pasture that really wouldn't make sense long term. And then really a really big consideration here is this virtual fence we can use in the future. When another wildfire happens. And I'll talk about that next. So this is, in the picture there is a mobile virtual fence antenna station. You retrofit them onto just a trailer that can be pulled behind a side-by-side. And so we can move these around. But there are places that put them in permanently, but we feel like if we make these mobile, and others have done this. I should mention also, this technology has been proven to work. They've been using it for years. It's still new, and there's still kinks in it, but we really feel like this is what we need to utilize. So we're looking at 10 virtual stations, and this includes, we're calling them systems, virtual fence systems. And this includes the stations, the trailers, all the components. We have detailed, the last couple of weeks have been figuring out how much this is going to cost. And so we have this dialed down. So the idea is for the district to own these stations. So it would be a service that we can provide to the community in the future when wildfire happens again, and also we can use it right now to help folks out short term. And so I'll cover that right now. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. Can you go back one? I'll talk it. This right for 10. Our budget is $277,000. Now that may seem like a lot of money, but just to put it in perspective of the issues that we're looking at out there because of this fire, that would build 8.5 miles of fence. So that's kind of, it is my board's opinion and my opinion that this is a good investment, looking at the scale of the problem that we have. So sorry, this is really small. There's just a lot to talk about, but utilizing CRP in the short term, if we can. We've been working with OSU Extension, sending surveys out to the community where people can voluntarily give up their CRP.
Can I interrupt you and just, we need to explain that the CRP grazing was approved by the
Yes.
Secretary of Agriculture and the programs too, because the last time we were here,
That's
they
right.
were not.
For the fruit,
Yes.
to open it up for the grazing.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
question I had.
So yeah, we have learned that the federal government has stepped up, and now there are programs helping folks out, but it is taking time. But yeah, we are able to graze the CRP now. But again, there just isn't fence out in a lot of this stuff. I already mentioned utilizing grazing near the burn. We can also say there are areas out there in the burn that they're going to be going out to, say, in a year or two that had extremely high burn severity. We can exclude that using this technology, and so they wouldn't graze that part for maybe another year or two. So any sensitive areas we can kind of protect. With traditional fence, that's much more difficult. So there's a lot of things that we can use this for that we're excited about. And then I think we can go to the next one. And this is where we're excited. Long term, if the district can build a program with these stations that we can help folks out when another fire happens. We can also use this to help prevent wildfire. We can basically mob graze strategically throughout the county to reduce vegetation using cattle. And it's really a win-win for everybody. This is a program that we're developing now. It's in its infancy, and it's going to be a big lift, but it's innovative. I don't know of any other SWCD taking this on, but I feel like we can pull this off. We have a small team, but we have a reputation of pulling off big things. So and really all of this, we can use this for restoration, but the fact that our community would now have these towers available, and we would administer the program to help folks out. We're pretty excited about this.
No, I just think that the other thing we need to consider is, most of the Rock Creek watershed is burned out, and being able to mob graze these pastures as we go forward and, the grass starts growing and keep them out of the riparian areas is the flood danger that's going to come downstream. Some of us that live downstream are kind of concerned about that, the loss of the irrigation infrastructure and the county bridges that could be also an issue if we don't figure out how to restore this and control the grazing as it tries to recover.
Okay.
I think I have just one more slide. So this is just a breakdown. We have detailed budgets of what all of this is going to cost, but working with my board, we had a special meeting last week to talk about this and talk about coming to the county. So this is $33,000. This is our staff time. This is getting the aerial imagery. We have talked with the landowners. We do have landowner buy-in. They are excited about this. We've asked them to pay for 25% the cost of the collars. That's this $18,000. We're invited by the Ford Family Foundation to submit a disaster recovery grant to them for $75,000, which we did yesterday. We expect to hear from them at the end of the week or early next week, and feel very confident, positive about that. And we have been reaching out. We have been trying to find money everywhere because we feel like this really is the solution right now. All of our timelines just don't match up with our traditional funders. OWEB, Marine Watershed Enhancement Board, these are the folks that we go to all the time for our grants. They have an open solicitation now, but if we were to write the grant and be successful, the money would not come until next spring. And where this is time sensitive is, I mentioned these folks have found emergency grazing right now. But, winter's coming. They're gonna need to be coming off the mountains, getting down into low country. We need to have, a plan in place. And, on top of that, if we do find the money, we have to order the trailers, we have to order the antennas, we have to build everything, and then do all the planning. So, that's where, we had our meeting at the board, our board meeting, and discussed this, and where this is time sensitive, we're able to come up, with almost half the cost of the project through other funding, that we would come to the county and ask if there would be any mechanism that the county could help us out with this project.
Well, this seems like this would be a perfect project for the capital projects grants, which are set to open September 1st. So
There's that. I also heard him say time sensitive, so I just want to entertain the conversation of, would there be a way we could provide emergency funding for this $150,000 and not wait for that?
Well,
Or give it-
how long are you looking at before your forward leadership and those grants will come through?
I'm hoping to hear from the Ford family by the end of the week or early next
Yeah,
week.
see, we only have one more week till the capital projects open up, and I mean, potentially we could have the grant committee come forward, review your
Quickly.
grant and bring it in front of the court. So, I mean, I think we could do it quickly. There's the money there for it.
Within a couple of weeks,
So the-
or you think?
September 4th, or the next meeting is the 19th. 18th.
I mean, you guys have done grants through the capital projects and stuff, so it'd be probably, and you've done a lot of the work, so it would hardly be anything to
Right.
apply. Because the way those have worked before, we've opened up the capital projects grants, the way it is done now, we open them up and then they just run. And when they would get requests, then they'd look at them and bring them in front of the court.
Oh, immediately.
We
Not
didn't,
wait till it
yeah,
was closed.
we didn't wait for, that's why we opened it up around the only reason it closed was after the recall. We closed it so we wouldn't, because we didn't know what was gonna be going on, so we closed it, and now the new court's in place, so, and it's set to open September 1st, so.
With the time frame and everything, where would that put you by the time to get the equipment?
To be
I mean,
completely honest, we're
ballpark,
already way behind.
right?
I mean, we're way behind, and I don't know if we're gonna, it's already tight. But, we will figure it out though.
One other question I had, you estimated there was something there for the callers was 18 or something.
Mhm.
Is that per station or all of them? Or
That's for the whole project,
the whole project?
so.
So the county, you would purchase all this equipment, retain ownership of it, is that correct?
Yes.
And then, is there a fee to the landowner? I mean, how?
That's where, I can't say, but we're kind of building the plane while we're flying. We're,
Okay,
working with, we do have plans in place. Our plans work with Sustainable Northwest, which has been a partner with us before. They have experience with, building programs like this. And so, I think that's where we can start talking about fees or, equity as far as who gets to use the equipment and things like that.
I mean, I know this, we all know this was an unusual circumstances and time is an essence. I just, I don't know, I'm not trying to put another hiccup in it, but, the landowner or whatever, putting up just electric fence, I'm just trying to make sure that we're justifying. But on the other hand, I know that they need it
Yeah, I don't know
quick.
that electric fence is really even a viable option,
Okay,
not in the
okay.
brain and the time frame.
And this technology has been used before. It's not just the trial,
Yeah.
first one out of the box.
Yeah, I'm, as soon as I get done here, I'm fly back to Conan to meet with Eastern Oregon Agricultural Research Center folks as a team of 6 people that are very, very excited about this idea. And
Okay.
we're bringing in the smartest people we can find.
And there's a large ranch in Wheeler County that's currently been using the collars for a couple of years.
Yeah,
Okay.
3 or 4 years.
So we have 2 options. Emergency funding or open up the capital investments, allow them to apply, potentially make a decision on the 4th of September. Those would be our two options. What do you think?
Is 4th of September soon enough?
It can be, yeah.
The sooner the better though, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we were
Really,
really,
yes.
yeah, I think it's, yeah, we were, because I don't even know how quickly I can get trailers here and all of it's gonna, and it'd be unfortunate to miss our window.
Has the court done emergency, I mean, something, I know this is kind of out of the, I don't know.
There's been emergency funding.
Yeah.
For the morning crickets.
Yeah, we've done it.
Could you do emergency funding pending, requiring them to do the grant? And
Yeah.
You could have the grant, if the grant approves it, pay the county back.
So at that point, we can move forward. but-
Yeah, so do the emergency funding pending the requirement that you do an application to the capital improvements and then.
I think that's an option. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, it
Okay.
would just be moving
Right.
from one pot to the other.
Yes.
Right.
Now, get them the money now. Thank you. Go
I
ahead.
just wanted to stand in support of them. This is an extraordinarily unusual circumstance, and it's also an extraordinary emergency. I think that you need to find a way to fund these people now.
Yeah, I think we're there. So what we can do is provide emergency funding. Let me make sure we're correct in agreement for $150,000. Pending an application with capital investments and approval of that application. Okay,
In the amount of,
$150,000.
I'll second that.
We will make that a motion. Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, you can get in touch with Brooklyn and get that taken care of.
Okay, thank you
All
so
right,
much.
thank you. Hey, finally to you. District Attorney Kara Davis, consider approval of contract. I don't think we're quite there with the contract, but we're gonna talk about the deflection program.
Yes.
I don't know, is that a microphone, that little thing?
Mhm.
Could you have people sit closer to that? I'm having some trouble hearing everybody.
Oh, excuse me, it's not conveying out here.
Oh, gotcha.
It's going
It
out
is
into
going out.
cyberspace. Mhm.
Okay, well,
Yes.
because I was there one time and I had to do public hearing.
Okay. If you would speak up, that would be great. Thank you.
I don't think that's a problem for me.
Oh my God.
I'm usually told I can simmer down. Kara Davis, Gilman County District Attorney, Condon, Oregon. I put this on the agenda, requested an agenda item, hoping that I would have a contract for you guys to approve. I don't, but I would still like at least to keep you guys informed on what we're doing for the deflection program. And for those of you who don't know, ballot measure 110 decriminalized drugs in the state of Oregon. The state legislature passed House Bill 4002 this last short legislative session. And starting September 1st, drugs will be recriminalized again. But in order to legislate on top of a ballot measure, you have to have a 2/3 majority. You need a supermajority to overturn a ballot measure in the state of Oregon. And the way we got to the supermajority in this legislative session was district attorneys had to work with, I don't know why people are calling me today like this. DAs had to work with law enforcement and do what we are calling law enforcement-led deflection programs. So Gary Betancourt, Sheriff Betancourt, and I agreed to be one of the counties that would do it. I think 28 of the 36 counties agreed to do deflection programs, and that was a sufficient amount to get the legislature on board to recriminalize drugs. So what is a deflection program? None of us know. We're making it up as we go along. So what we've decided to do for Gillum County is we're too far away. We don't take most of the people to Norcor unless we know they're going to be held. So unless it's a person crime, the person is a repeat offender that has multiple failures to appear, or it's a very, very serious property crime, they won't be kept in jail. So we don't transport them, we just issue them citations. So what we've decided to do is for our local people that are from our judicial district that commit a crime that isn't a person crime, a DUI, because we can't do deflections on DUIs. So no DVs, no domestic violence, because that's a person crime, no DUIs, and no serious felonies. We normally right now issue them a citation and tell them to come to the next court date. What we're going to do now is, in addition to that, we're going to give them the opportunity to engage in this deflection program. And if they engage in the deflection program, I won't file the citation. I'll wait and see how they do. And if they do it and do great, then perfect. That's what we want. We have no idea how many people this is going to affect in our community. Up until now, when drugs have been decriminalized, we're looking at maybe 4 people a year that would be given the opportunity. I have no idea how those numbers are going to change when we see drugs being thrown back into the mix. So we're kind of flying blind on this, everybody is, but we have received $150,000 from the state. And what we want to do is have a procurement from essentially CCS. So CCS would bill us, we would have a contract with CCS, they would bill us, and that $150,000 would go into a pot for the deflection program, because this is use it or lose it money. So we want to be billed immediately and then have it kept in a separate and distinct place where those funds are only used for the program. What we're looking at funding right now is a part-time peer mentor to help people navigate through the system. Giving people referrals is great, but it's kind of like telling a person with a broken leg, the hospital's right there. Good luck, buddy. You know, they're not going to get there, right? Like some people need hand holding to be able to utilize these services. And it's compounded in this county with the fact that some of our services are actually located in Umatilla County. They're located in other places. They're not located here. So having a peer mentor that can help people get to those services and identify those services, will have funds for things like maybe our person is finally able to get a job that needs clothes that look job appropriate. We could help find clothes, locate clothes. We'll have a vehicle that will be in CCS's title, so they have to worry about the liability and the insurance and not us. But if we ever stop doing this program with them, then the title will revert to Gillum County. So we want to keep it as our asset, but not be responsible for any of the liability in the meantime, was my thought. And then we will have a part-time coordinator who will keep track of all the statistics for the county. So all I need, like, tentative approval from you guys is, assuming I can manage to get together a decent contract that conveys these goals, that you guys would be okay with it, and that obviously you'll need to see it first. I'm not a contracts person. I can review them. Writing it is a new thing for me. So I'm trying to steal Morrow County and Umatilla County's contracts and just change it so that it fits our needs. But do you guys have any questions?
I have, so the 150,000, right? That's from the state, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, is this just a number? I mean, I guess I'm wondering down the road too. I mean, do they have a sustained way to do this? Or?
So they're taking the ballot measure 110 funds. They gave some of it to the mental health providers like CCS, right? Or Center for Living in the Dalles. And they gave some of it to us and some of it are going to the people that it was going to during ballot measure 110. They say money will be available in the future. I don't trust them as far as I can spit to keep having that money available. I think a lot of it's going to be dependent on if we're able to show results. And our numbers are so low, one person could tank our statistics for our county. So I do get very concerned about that. That's why we decided to just put it in a pot with CCS. Originally, we wanted to keep the money with the county and have a county employee, but then since this hasn't been a system we've tried before, and since there hasn't been a track record of the state dispersing money for these type of programs, I didn't want to commit the county to employees that we would then end up having to let go. So I think it's gonna be there. I do think it's gonna be there. I think they would have a hard time denying us funds when counties such as ours that are the lowest populated are getting such low amounts of funding compared to like Washington County and Clackamas County. But I don't really trust them because I've seen them in the past give the money to Umatilla County and say we'll fold under that umbrella. So it looks like there's enough funding there. The money's there. Whether they'll keep funneling it out this way is anybody's guess.
I was just curious, like I say, it's a what if, but it's like, okay, here's 1 year. Oh, now you guys you're gonna pay for it.
We're definitely worried about it, which is why the structure with CCS versus county employees.
Okay.
And CCS is willing. We said it in a meeting and they're on board.
And they do it for other counties. So they already have the infrastructure for meeting the requirements of the state for showing where the funding went.
Okay, so
there isn't really any link.
Should we pass a motion to, or consider a motion to allow the district attorney to proceed with implementing a contract for the deflection program and then bring the contract back to us once it's in place?
Do we need a motion?
Do we need a motion
Probably
for
don't
that?
need a
Directive.
motion, but just a directive.
Directive.
Do it.
Do it, yes. No, and did you explained to me that even though the program goes into place September 1st, we can wait, we can still wait.
Right, so again, drugs become recriminalized September 1st. And I'm working on doing a training with the sheriff's department on during Roundup. I'm doing it remotely, September 11th. So I will be doing a training. A lot of these officers haven't ever worked when drugs have been criminal for user amounts. So we're gonna go back over that and do a training. There isn't an automobile exception anymore for search and seizure, which matters a lot in drug cases. So we're gonna do a whole training on that, but we don't have another official normal circuit court docket date until November. So we have time for implementation. You had to choose a course, whether you were gonna use $150,000 to plan what you were gonna do or whether you were just gonna do it. And I felt like we should just get on it because drugs are, other than alcohol is probably the biggest problem we see in crimes we have in this county, but drugs are right there, especially when it comes to the bigger thefts. When you hear about burglaries or at the windmill sites, most of our thefts are drug motivated. A fair amount of our DV has drugs involved.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks.
Okay, discussion and possible action on guidelines for Gillum County Capital Investment Grant Program. Okay. So the guidelines were amended last year, correct? Commissioner Watkins, you were here. Okay, I just wanted to open the conversation about how we want to proceed with this. The one thing I do want to point out is the strategic plan does include housing, childcare, and fiber it also includes, serve in a supportive, resourceful role to cities, schools, other taxing districts, and local organizations to help improve livability and address barriers to growth in our communities. So I just want to make sure we know that it isn't only those things that are in our strategic plan. It also includes a more broader discussion. So we just want to open up the conversation to decide how we want to proceed. What we have here is Anya provided us with the recent criteria and application process, which was approved February 1st, 2023, and that's the more narrowed down scope. Includes, see here, housing, childcare, fiber, and then it also includes and specific community partner priority projects. So there is something in that we could fund other projects as well.
So my recommendation would be just to include that language that you just read out of that, the strategic plan, just so it's spelled out in here.
In the more locked down version, the recent one?
Yes.
This was the latest one, right?
Yes. Because one of the things, there was a couple things we did in this, because before, everything always had to go back before the budget committee. I think we eliminated that because we opened up it to all year long. And I think if you look at the thing, it says cycle 1, cycle 2.
Right.
I think it was when they had enough that they decided to go through them and do them, but they perpetually kept them open.
Okay.
And the original one, I think, cited that having the budget committee, and they were only doing like a spring and a fall.
Right.
Originally. So if you went back to that other one, you'd have to change all that language.
And it is just for this year. It looked like it was last year and this year. And then we can rediscuss how we want to proceed. One of the issues we're in is because of everything that happened with the administration, this is behind. We funded the capital, we funded the operational support, we funded the north and south end special projects, but this one it's not quite behind, but getting this pre-work done is, we're behind the 8 ball. So if we can fund any project with the new guidelines, are we comfortable with that? Even though we would also be able to fund housing, childcare, and fiber, in addition to any projects that serve in a supportive, resourceful role, cities, schools, or taxing districts, local organizations to help improve livability and address barriers to growth in our communities. That would be a project that we could include.
Yeah, we could just add that
language.
language behind the,
Okay,
where you have the forward up there.
right. Okay,
And it talks about the strategic plan, specifically housing, early education access, shovel-ready industrial lands, and specific community partner priority projects. And then I would just include that language.
what do we think about the match? For other capital projects, other than housing and early education, it's a 75% match. That seems high. And I'm sorry, I'm on the new guidelines, page 2.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I missed that, reading over it, but that does seem pretty high. Was that kind of how it's been, or? Yes,
I don't remember looking at one that did that, but
I would entertain reducing that to 50%. That's still up there, but
I mean, doesn't mean you have to give 50, right? I mean, we still.
it would be, they have to come up with 50% of what they're requesting.
Right.
Do you have any thoughts on that?
I would be curious of what the project was, because even SWCD is showing 50%.
Yeah,
So,
right. Would we be comfortable with 50% there?
I would be.
I just think it might discourage people from applying to ask for 75. Okay, So. Let's see, any other questions? Oh,
And it comes down to the court agreeing
yes,
to make
exactly.
the grant anyway.
Okay, so just to go over what we discussed, and I think that's all I had. Did anybody else have anything else they wanted to ask or change? Okay, so the match on all other capital projects would be 50% as opposed to 75%. And we would add to the criteria from the strategic plan that projects that help improve livability and address barriers to growth in our communities will also be funded, or excuse me, considered for funding. They can apply.
Adding that language, yeah.
Chris, can I ask a
Yes.
question? Is the match 50% across the board then, even with housing
No.
and childcare?
The match on housing is 25%. Early education projects is 10%. That's the way this is written.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. Thank you.
Without getting too far in the weeds, I think this is a way to address some of those other projects and still move these forward. It's just for this year, so.
Agreed.
Okay? Let's make a motion. I think we should have a motion on this one. I move to amend the Gillum County Capital Investment Grant Guidelines to include eligible grant fund uses to add projects that help improve livability and address barriers to growth in our communities. And also reduce the match from 75%, matching funds, excuse me, to reduce the matching funds from 75% for other capital projects to 50%. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, so we'll start that. We'll get those amended, get it in the paper, get it on the website, and get that started September 1st. And you know, typically, is it a 30-day? How long do you?
I think they would just leave it open.
Open applications come in and, okay, all right, okay. And then they come back. to
And
the board.
you might be able to go back and look and see how they worded it the first year that they did it.
All right.
Because, you know, they may have given, because I think sometimes people, they just say, oh, it's open, then they, oh, I can apply whenever, but
Okay,
I don't know what kind of language you could use to help
we'll look into that.
push them along.
Right. Thank you.
It looked like they usually would get, like, I don't know, last year, it looks like they had 3 that they called the cycle 1, and they did, you know, they did those.
There's a couple of other things on this subject that I want to make sure we cover. So Brooklyn was good enough to create a spreadsheet, and she took all of the, this should be on the website too, the Gillum County website, all of the projects, because we couldn't find a spreadsheet that showed this is a big pot of money, and we want to be sure we didn't have outstanding obligations that exceeded our budget amount. So operational support and capital investments are in a line item, and it's $6 million, and then there's a carryover line item for around $800,000. I think that's a general number. So we have, huh?
I think it's closer to 9.
Okay, I was gonna look and see if I can find it, but I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find it. Hold on for just a minute, I might be able to find it. Oh, okay. It is, yeah, prior competitive grants. There's a line item for $837,195. So she's showing the budgeted amount is the 6 million plus the carryover. So she has that right. And then prior fiscal year outstanding distributions are $3,430,000. sorry, 3,465,586. So there's obligated funds in that over $6 million because people haven't been able, these kinds of projects are harder to finish because you have to wait on contractors. You know, if, for example, the city of Condon's meter situation had to wait for, it's not as easy as some other uses of the money. So this money tends to carry forward and not get spent in the first year. So the remaining funds in this line item, if you're going to consider all of those other obligated encumbered funds, is $2,371,608.
That's what's left.
Yeah. So it does, one of these is the
Plus
school.
the extra 5,000 that's just, or 5 million that got budgeted to add to it this year.
Okay, 6 million
what was
competitive
that?
grants.
So the competitive grants on, are you looking at page 46 of the budget?
Yep.
So the competitive grant program is 6 million, which 1 million of that was dedicated to the operational. So that leaves 5 million in that.
True, except for there are ongoing projects that they haven't spent all their money, they've asked for extensions on.
But those should have been in the money that was last year.
I don't think it got spent.
Where did it go?
Okay, so the way that it's set up now is you have that $6 million budgeted for the competitive grant program, the 837,195 for the previous fiscal year, but we had $3.4 million in outstanding competitive grant funds from prior fiscal years. So we're having to dip into that $6 million because it's well over that 837,000 that was budgeted for the previous year's disbursements.
Let's talk about a couple of examples. One of them is the Condon Grade School project, you know, and that's just, it's taken time to get that done. Is it gonna happen this fiscal year? Maybe, maybe not, but that one is.
So Brooke, they do not carry the grant funds forward like they did the special projects?
No, nope. It's just given its own separate line item as like a projected prior fiscal year outstanding costs. And with this, just with the way it went this last year, that was not reviewed more closely, I guess, and it was a lot less than what the actual outstanding costs are for the prior fiscal years. Normally, it would be equal on that separate line item for outstanding costs in previous fiscal years, but just, you know, the spring, it didn't get.
Yeah, because the amounts should have rolled forward.
I would agree.
Yeah, I don't think we had the spreadsheet though, and everything was, prior years, so competitive grants was 1.8 million expended and then almost 6 expended. So, yeah, so I think the previous competitive grant line item was much lower in the budget than actual, but we just created the actual. We had, thank you, Brooklyn, for doing it because we needed to know. So let me just use the example of
like the big ones that you have outlined that didn't, like the early learning center itself is $700,000. That is still, you guys had allocated it within the agreement. It just states that the county court has the rights to either approve or deny that 700,000. So that's left in there as a prior year disbursement. But that on its own takes up.
So when those grants, when that competitive grant program issued money out, and then at the end of the year, it just went right back into the beginning fund balance?
They never paid it out.
I know, but they just put it back into the beginning fund balance and didn't leave it in the grant?
Line item for the outstanding payments. Yes.
Right. Another example is Alkali Ridge Development. That's $1 million. And of course, that isn't, their grant is, they'll probably ask for an extension. It goes through December 31st of 24, but that's $1 million. And that's money that was granted, but not given, but not considered in the carryover. So, yeah.
Yeah, because that's my concern, if it just rolled over into the beginning fund balance instead of staying where it should have been.
Yeah, what Kelly says here in the chat is that the competitive grant line item is for the current year's grant awards only, which we know. That line item does not get rolled forward, which we know. Any grant funds not expended should be carried forward in the previous comp grant lines, which was requested to be that 837,000, but in reality, it was much higher than that. So we're just to keep within
Yeah.
our reserves and special payments line item. We're just having to deduct out of that competitive grant line item to make sure we don't go over our entire.
Right.
Since this is remaining for this
Yeah.
budget here.
Yes. The other thing.
And they didn't address this on the previous audits.
I think in previous years, that was a much higher line item that was carried over on the previous comp grants line item. Like she was saying, it was like 1.8 and then 1.6. That I could not answer.
Yeah, this is just the reality. We could do outreach to the poor and to the child. I mean, is this money gonna be spent this year? That's the other question. If it's not gonna be spent this year, it would be available this year to others. So that's one option, to see when they expect their outstanding expenses to be spent. Like the city of Condon on their meters, they're gonna spend that this year. What else is there? Former grade school, again, the port, so that's, is that 400,000? I'm having a hard time following. $487,000. So, yeah, so just, it's reality of what's happened here. The
So
Chamber of
how do we
Commerce
make sure that it doesn't happen in the future?
have a spreadsheet. Yeah.
But it should have been reflected in the budget, I guess.
Yeah.
Instead of showing more than is there.
Yeah, it should have been carried over within the competitive, which apparently part of it was 800 and some, but not.
Yeah, I just think until Brooklyn was able just to really dig into it and find, we found a spreadsheet for operational support. We found one for North and South End, but we couldn't find one for capital. We knew we had to get it because it's the biggest pot of money.
So this is the only one that's been a problem on, because the operationals get paid out.
Yes. And this is the one that's gonna be a problem because people aren't gonna finish their capital projects as quickly as they will.
Yeah, when you put stipulations on it, that you have to be at a certain point.
Yeah, right.
You have to be careful not to overcommit to.
Right.
Do they provide you like an annual report?
Yes.
Yes.
That shows how much they expended?
Yes.
So
I think
then
their state.
Brooklyn can keep track of it.
Yeah, and this, we've got it now. I think we know now.
And
That was a new line item just last year.
The carryover? Yeah.
And they're providing us documentation that explains why they're not there yet, right?
Well, and when they do an extension such as the city of Condon, she provided a letter with an explanation of why, and we're not gonna get it done now, but this is the date we will. We're committed to finishing it. And I've seen some of these that get bumped out a couple of times. For example,
I think the school had one.
yeah, the cemetery, they've had problems trying to get a well, is that? The purchase, I thought it was a well or something for the cemetery. It's taking time.
Yeah, it was
that what it
for
was?
drilling or something.
So I just want to make everybody aware of this, so that we could see it. And if we need to do the outreach with the port on the school and find out if it's going to be spent this year, because that's taken time, that money then would be available if there's a commitment, or some of these others.
So some of those funds that have already been authorized, do they are aware of a cutoff date already on?
They have a cutoff date, but they can ask for an extension.
Right, but I was just curious kind of on, it'd be interesting to kind of just see where we're at with.
And
some of these
contact
big
these and
ones.
see where we're at. And then we would know what other money would be available this year.
That is my intention after this meeting. Is I've been in contact with a handful of them that had already, like the city of Condon, who had missed their initial grant deadline, and Arlington as well. Arlington School District ended up sending in their last disbursement request after I'd reached out to them. I just kind of have held off on these ones that are due at the end of this calendar year until this conversation was had, but I
Right.
think now that there is a dedicated person in this position, that it'll be easier to track that and have a little more
Yeah.
better organized.
So we're just trying to get this dialed into where we know for sure, which is good. And then, I don't know, I guess, just, yeah, our overcommit.
So Brooklyn will reach out to the entities and find out the status of the remaining balances and whether or not they have plans to finish those this fiscal year or not. If they're not going to be finished this fiscal year, those would be available in the grant funds this fiscal year,
And then
right?
any budget
Okay.
Yeah.
coming down the road.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Brooklyn.
I just have one more. Are you guys discussing Arlington's?
Yeah,
school?
that's next.
perfect.
Okay, so Arlington School, and if Brooklyn, I might call on you. There was an email. There was an athletic infrastructure capital investment grant that was applied for 2 superintendents ago. Well, before Larry, it was under Brandon Hammond. And the agreement terminated 6/30 of 23. We have been asked if those funds are still available. And I guess I'll let you speak to that.
6/30/23.
Yeah.
What was the amount? Yeah. Or do you have that?
Was that part of the spreadsheet?
The remaining balance is $109,000.
There is a provision in the grant agreement that it's up to them to request an extension. Is that true?
Yeah, they have to come in and request it, and neither myself nor the school district could find any sort of formal request for an extension on this agreement.
But they could reapply.
They could well, I guess now with the adjustment in the way that the grant guidelines read, they could reapply, but athletic infrastructure doesn't really fall under the capital investment guidelines at this point.
What did you say doesn't?
Athletic infrastructure.
Okay.
Unless it's gonna fall under the new one that you're adding into that guidelines, but it's not specific to housing, it's not specific to childcare.
No, I think it could fall into that.
So 109 is gonna be that outstanding disbursements.
It wouldn't
right?
prevent them from flying.
Yeah.
I'm gonna open up the conversation. Do you think that we should allow the application to be extended at this date? Or do you think we should let them know they can reapply?
So did they complete any of this? What did they get completed on it?
They were awarded $400,000. Their first disbursement was $290,673.62 with a remaining balance of $109,000. That first disbursement came in February of 2023, and then there was no additional requests or any sort of communication beyond that disbursement.
I would say they just need to reapply or to try the future ones. I mean, I think this has gone
So
far.
I'm curious what they have left to finish.
And what did they do with it? What was this? What is athletic infrastructure? What, do we know what they did?
Yes, I can pull that up. Just give me a second.
I mean, it's unfortunate, but
Yeah. Well over a year.
yeah. You don't remember them getting anything on?
I don't remember him coming. That was when I first got into office, so.
Yeah. Don't recall that first day. And then
Installation of a paging system. They did gym wall pads. They did volleyball stand and padding. They remodeled their tennis courts, and they refinished their gym and their auxiliary gym.
Okay. Commissioners, what do you think?
I mean, it's unfortunate, but I feel that it's kind of, yeah, it's gone. I mean, they didn't do what they're supposed to do. And if we go clear back to this, are we encouraging more down the road to happen like this? And I mean,
That's the only one that's in that cycle or in that year that's a problem, Brooke.
Within that cycle, there are still 2 other two others, but they all they have the appropriate extension requests through the end of this calendar year, so. This
Okay.
one from the Arlington School District is the only one that doesn't have an extension request tied to their remaining funds.
Okay.
I would encourage them to apply.
I'm in agreement.
Okay. Consensus on that? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. All right, the next item on the agenda is consider approval of use of facility agreement with the United Church of Christ. And I don't know if Sabrina's online or not, but this was just one that I found we didn't have a current agreement on in the system, in the shared drive. And so it has, this is the same agreement we've used, same agreement we've had. And
I move to approve the agreement for the use of the facility with the United Church of Christ for the mill site program.
I'll second the motion.
it's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right, consider approval of industrial ground lease agreement with Omega Morgan. This has gone to legal counsel. This is the laydown yard at the Sheller Station Industrial Park. It's a pretty complex agreement because it allows them to expand or grow the space they use. So it depends on how much they use. This has gone through legal. She had many notes and we just went back and forth a couple of times on this. We did increase the amount for a maximum of $16,000 a month, right? And it was $14,800. And so that's one change. The only other change is the ability to remove the east side laydown yard, which after 26 or in 26, I think, because there may be another interest in that because it's another development.
And that's this.
Yeah, that's the east side in the red. And so this was an experience for me because I've never, once we found out this was expired, I was like, okay, we're gonna dig into this and figure out how to do this. I found it very complex because it's 35 acres, but it's only based on what they use. If they use all of it, they pay us the $16,000 a month. But if it's less, then they pay us less. And that's the way the original contract was written, and it's been that way.
And this was a 3-year, what is it? Or
It is, let's see, it terminates, it terminates May 31st, 2026, but there is extensions. Is it 2 1-year extensions? Do you remember, Anya? I think it is.
I saw it, I just not finding it.
Yeah.
It's on that bottom of the first page, I think.
31st, 2026, okay.
Yeah.
That was on the 3rd. Council was good with it.
Yep. So it can extend the initial term for 2 consecutive additional terms of 1 year. So, and they can, if they're not using it, if we're gonna have growth and development, they can make sure the whole thing is used under their own contract. Are you comfortable with it? Look at it.
I move to approve the industrial ground lease agreement with Omega Morgan.
I will second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the Omega Morgan industrial ground lease. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay. We are to a presentation on the woolery. Start with Brad McGuire. I received a note and then go on to Brad Bear.
Wait, you can just put up for me.
This could be a 15-minute presentation, did you say?
I'm gonna go fast.
Okay.
Most of my thing is gonna be visual.
Okay.
So if anybody has any questions on the Woolery,
Thank you.
this is just showcasing the work we've done.
Yeah.
So my job is to introduce Brad Baird and Lynn and Denise Ball. And I got two board members here, Wade Johnson and Julius Courtney. So my deal's gonna be pretty fast. I just wanna talk briefly about what the Woolery does behind the scenes. And we do a lot of heritage work, as you can see. And we also work with our youth a lot. So every year we hire the kids to help us with the Oktoberfest, and there's sometimes up to 15 kids. We pay $100 per kid. In the last 9 years, that's a pretty big number. Lori came to me probably 3 years ago, and after COVID, they had no money for their junior, senior class to do their prom or their banquet or a senior trip. Lori said, "Do you have any things you raise money?" And I said, "Yeah, we could do a power breakfast." And that's all up here. We raised $4,000 and each, the Woolery got 2,000 and the kids got 2,000. So they was able to have their prom and able to have their banquet and all the stuff. This picture here, I really love. The town is only 5 years old and look how far they came. They must have had some great leadership, because that's a heck of a town with no skill saws and no power equipment at all, but that's a heck of a town. And somebody had to coordinate all the cattle and the sheep and the horses to be watered. They went right through town to get the water. So the must up in this country must have been full of animals to get ready to be transported. I want to talk on heritage a little bit with J.W. Smith. He was our very first judge in the county. I don't know what number you are, Chris. I don't know, but I mean, that was pretty cool. The only thing that was survived, the courthouse burnt down when he was in office, and they threw his chair out the window. And it's up at the museum in Condon. So when I did this presentation, I used his chair. We also provided a play with the kids. So the Woolery is more than just a building. We're trying to be part of the community and building with youth and our elderly and bringing people together. I feel Arlington's missing a lot with their heritage and socialization. And I'm hoping the Woolery will bring people closer together. In your book, well, if you guys read your books, it's got a lot of information in there on our accomplishments. Brad Baird is going to do a lot of talking for us on what we've done. Brad's worked with us 4 or 5 years, and he's allowed us to make payments all these years. So every time we do a project, fundraising wise, like the Oktoberfest, we get Anderson Perry another check. So what he's been record, we've spent a lot of money on this stuff, get to where we are today. And he's got our site plan done, and it's even updated from that one there. He's got a lot of stuff. So I'm gonna turn it over to him, and then Lynn Ball will be behind him. What I see, what was sad for me just last week, Gordon Aiken, they did what do they call, celebration of life. And it wasn't done here. It was done in Echo, Oregon. He branched here for years, grew up here, and he has to go, they had their deal in Echo, Oregon. That's how important this Woolery could be. We gotta keep our people here. Wedding celebrations of life. I've done a lot of weddings from local people here that's gone to Pendleton, gone to the Valley, gone other places. And that money should be stayed here. I'm gonna leave it there. We got a lot of ground to cover, and I'll let Brad take over from there.
I will be quick too. Due to your scheduling.
No, don't let us stop you. This is your floor.
Okay, well, appreciate that. Appreciate the time.
I give it to her, Brad.
Oh,
Yes.
thank you.
There you go.
Yeah, I wrote this down so you wouldn't have to take notes. You guys, yeah, we've been fortunate to help the Woolery over these years. You want me to talk from here or there? Doesn't matter. Here?
It's better on the microphone.
Okay,
Sorry.
sounds good. Yeah, we've been hired by the Woolery to help out from an engineering and permitting perspective and a land use perspective is where we're involved. That site created a lot of different challenges for the Woolery, so what we thought we'd do is just show you what we've done to date. And yeah, we've been fortunate to be able to work with the Woolery over time. We have so many other active projects in the area, and we have donated some of our services to try to help the project move along. But I'm sure you're aware of what the project is there on the top of page one, being an event center, and bottom of page one is all the different things that could happen there. And Rod's talked about this a lot in the past with just different events that could occur. So if you go to page two, what are we doing to help the Woolery? Well, we've been working, I think it's about 5 years now, to help them through all the different logistics type things that a consultant would help an entity like the Woolery with. And they're listed here. First thing we did was help the Woolery re-secure the city of Arlington's commitment to donate the land, and got that updated and worked through the council again. Basically, the council's agreed to donate the 40 acres of land that the Woolery would occupy up there when they get funding to build it. And so I think most of the land's below the bluff, but there's the level chunk, or somewhat level chunk on top too, that's part of that 40 acres. So that's been reaffirmed and put in writing. One of the biggest hurdles, which the county helped us through, this 40 acres is in the county and it's zoned industrial. So would that type of facility be allowed in an industrial zone? So we worked with Michelle Colby at the time, went through the entire process, if any of you remember, and got the intended use of this facility approved within the industrial county zone. So that's been completed. Yeah, you can't really plan a project if you aren't allowed to do it in the zone. So got that done. Bottom of page two, site technically didn't have access, so we wrote up and completed access and utility easement from the airport road right away, extending down past the beacon to that site. That's been approved with the city of Arlington, signed and recorded, so they now have legal access for accessing the site and for utilities. That's the bottom of page two. Top of page three, we've completely surveyed the entire site. That's what these engineering drawings are, and completed all the surveying to do the design. And I'd like to pass that out real quick and just talk about that briefly, but there's like 24 pages of engineering drawings here, and you only need to look at one page. But the idea is to show you that they completed a significant amount of work. There's a front back here for how many drawings there are, but the real drawing that matters is if you take the packet there and just turn, I think it's 3 sheets in, maybe 4 all counting them, but here. 1, 2, 3, yeah, go to the 4th sheet. It's sheet C101. It's like this. That's pretty much the site in a nutshell. All the other drawings are the water lines, the sewer lines, the you know, details that for building it. And the idea of this design is to eventually have a package ready that they can go out to bid, you know, when they get funding. So they're ready to go when they secure funding. As you can see on this site, we've utilized the flat area, somewhat flat area above the bluff. Cars and others can enter on the access road from the airport road. The beacon's right up there in the top right-hand corner. This is a one-way in. Cars can pull in and unload under under an overhang for bad weather times. There's the building you can see, all the parking. And there's some overflow parking for larger trucks and, you know, truck and trailers, things of that nature. And then the building that Rod has described, included in that, it'll be right on the edge of the block with quite an overhang, so you have a beautiful view of the river and down to the river. There'll be walk paths, you know, there's horseshoe pits, pavilions, different things of that nature for outdoor use. So that's the project. you're more than welcome to look at those drawings if you're really excited what a fire hydrant looks like. There's a lot of detail in there. So what the Woolery's done over the years is each time they get money, they've engaged us to help push it through. Now, they've probably spent, by the time they get done with this design, and we're gonna have a set of drawings with a bid package that they can go secure bids, once they get funding. They will have spent somewhere in the range of $50,000 to $60,000 on us, not to mention others that they've hired for things, to keep working this through all the steps and processes. They just want to get it to a point that they can go if they're able to secure funding for it. And boy, they're close. They've never been closer.
What's their, is it here, the total project cost?
No, we are, and Lynn's gonna talk about the financing, but we are just about done enough to the point, we usually wait until we get the design pretty far along before we do an estimate, in case it changes, but it's almost done. We have planned to have this done this fall, so they're ready to go out to bid at any time, here very shortly. And so, yeah, there it is. We're almost wrapping up the design. Like I mentioned there on page 4, you know, the next step is just to try to secure funding and get it built. One thing real quick about the building will be a package type building. When you go that route, you can put a lot of onus on the building supplier, or will do a lot of the engineering as part of their package. For, you can imagine, we've got to worry about the wind up there, things of that nature. And so that usually makes it cheaper because that'll be in the package with the building. And so it'll have a decent price tag, of course, but there's all kinds of activities that can happen in stages, meaning if they get a little bit of money, they can grade the road, because we're gonna have it all figured out with grades. They can grade the road and get the earthwork done, and grade out the parking lot, and grade the building pad. They can start bringing in gravel. You know, there's lots of phases that they could make progress on. They don't have to have the whole thing funded at once, but definitely parts of it that could help moving along. So are there any questions? I'm done with my presentation. I just want to talk about the engineering. Have a bid package ready. Any questions on the engineering? Water and sewer can come from the city. We're right there next to it.
The city is willing to donate it, or how they?
They're willing to. They have it in writing, and they made a motion and approved it that they will donate it when they have funding to build it. And then the way the letter reads, though, is if they ever stop proceeding and bail out, then it's still the city's.
Okay.
Yeah, just to protect them, but they're willing to get
sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And then water and sewer are actually very close. It's just a little bit east to the.
Is the city helping with that, or is that gonna be at the project's expense?
Project.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, Woolery hasn't approached the city for any assistance.
Curious.
Other than it's awful nice that you give them the land.
Yeah, it is.
That's a great
Yes.
gift. So,
Okay.
and they approve the easements for free. Of course, we recorded them.
Yeah.
Things of that nature.
So you don't see any problems with any foreseeable easements down the road? I mean, everything's.
No, we got them all. Yeah, and what we did too is I went through a first run with Michelle before she left about all the things the county wants on the site plan. So we're gonna make sure that's included in the design, you know, lighting, parking, handicap spots, all that stuff. To where when it comes time, because the county's the entity that'll have to approve this because it's in your zoning. This package would be all ready, and already went through that list with her, so we should have everything addressed.
Okay.
Okay, any questions?
Any
of me?
questions?
Okay.
You've done a lot of work.
Yeah, they've made a lot of good progress.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for letting me come here, Commissioners and Judge Patnode. I wanted to go over with you guys and see if there's any questions on the Lowry project organizational information and the income expense projections. And I sent,
Oh, yeah.
you guys all probably have that attachment in front of you. Do you have it?
Yes.
So in putting this together, I called, for instance, Quincy Washington, talked to Kat Calabas, who's the director of the chamber over there, and found out what kind of impact large events have to their community. And one of the questions we had here is where will people stay? So what the chamber does over there, Quincy can't hold the people for the big George concert. So they have a liaison with Moses Lake, Wenatchee, Soap Lake, and all those people. And then the people come back after they've been there, they kind of get interested in the area. And they say, well, let's go back and do a little tourist stuff. So they get a double whammy on it. The funding request that we would like is $175,000. We have $26,000 on cash on hand. We're expecting 25 for the Oktoberfest gross revenues. And you can read down through that. So we end up with a balance of $155,600. So if we were to get the 175, that would put us in a position where we could get up to $600,000 in other grants because they have a 25% match requirement, and that would still leave us a little left over because 150 does that. So we have a grant writer, and they've both covered what the Woolry building and the events that will basically be able to be used for. So flipping over to the income expense projection. So after research, $7,500 is not a big ask for a rental for a large event. So we figured that in the first year, we'd probably do 25 of the large events. And then additionally, 50 to 150 people would show up for smaller events. And we'd probably do 12 of those. So if you add the 187,000 and 30,000 together, we end up with 217,500 of gross revenue. The event coordinator salary and budget and benefits, 78,000. We figure that's the first year starting. Landscape and maintenance, payroll taxes, property insurance, utilities, repairs and maintenance. This is the one I wanted to try to talk to you about. Repair and maintenance, 12,000. Maintenance reserve fund, 12,000. Well, we've all been through new building projects. Those probably won't be required for the first 2 or 3 years. So that's kind of the built-in, a little built-in guarantee that we can make our sustainability amount. So if we don't use the 12,000 on repairs and maintenance, that's 24,000. So say for instance, if we were to miss 3 of the projected large events, that would cover that. So we could be off that much. And the 55,000 would cover another. So we actually would have 10 large events that we could miss and still end up in the black on an operating year out of this projection. So we feel like this project is fully sustainable in the first year. There's no expectation that the county court will need to provide annual operating grants or funding to keep our doors open. And this is all based on pretty intense research throughout the Northwest and other areas on what the usage of a venue like this is. A lot of them that are very popular have 18-month waiting lists just to be able to rent the place. And this building building that we're gonna put up there, after looking at all the different venues from Montana to Northern California and all the area in between, this building will be equivalent to and better than anything else that's out there that's available. So I don't think we're gonna have a problem with sustainability. But what we have right now is momentum. And so we don't want to lose that momentum. We've got some new blood, some new faces working on the Woolery, and momentum is a very important part of any successful endeavor. The Woolery project has gained momentum on several fronts right now. The civil engineering is substantially complete. The structural plans are 50% complete, and building design has been discussed and agreed upon by the board. A campaign letter, and this is important, has been drafted to garner support from the surrounding counties, cities, community leaders, and awaits mailing following today's strong support from our county court. We feel like that's really important that we have your support when we mail that out to all the other community leaders and ask them to. We have a lot of the supporters in the past, but we want to make it a current support this year. So, is there any questions?
No. Thank you for your presentation. This is great. Maybe you have more to say.
Well, I don't have
Okay,
much more to
okay,
say.
I wasn't
I
sure
want
if
to
you were
know if
finished.
anybody has any questions
So-
about how you feel the sustainability
What you-
process was worked
You have the
out.
option. We approved the capital investment program today. The Woolery's a nonprofit 501c3. I went back and listened to the April 10th meeting where there was discussion about Kelly Nonprofit Consulting and that contract, and the Woolery was mentioned at that time as a potential, is that they could apply for funds. Didn't sound like there's a reason they could not apply for funds. So are you utilizing Kelly Nonprofit Consulting, or are you participating in
I
that?
didn't know anything about it yet. I didn't know they,
Oh,
Well, I've looked at Kelly's nonprofiting,
mhm.
and we really are not the people that they need to help.
Okay.
We have our own tax accountant, we have a business
Okay.
plan.
It was just a question. It
Yeah,
was just a
we have
question.
everything
Yeah.
that we need to move forward, except for we need a little bit of funding.
Okay. That funding window is gonna open up. Hopefully by September 1st, we'll have that application out. And the Woolery, feel free to apply, just like anybody else would.
Okay, so I have another question on this county discretionary budget. Now, my understanding.
Is it the SIP discretionary?
Pardon me?
SIP discretionary?
Well, it's, I can give you the line item on it, on the budget, if that'll help. It's, 5-50-5120.
Yeah, that has some obligation on the library. Did you hear the discussion about the library? And they said SIP, Kim Wilkins' letter said SIP funds in part pay for that. I found out that some of that is
Obligated.
that.
What
So
page,
what,
what page is that?
how
It's
much,
on page.
how much of
Is
that?
it
46,
Oh,
46.
okay.
Do we know
Oh, I
how
don't-
much?
I don't know.
And then I
You know
understood.
what? I may be wrong about that, because SIP County discretionary, that's in the revenue side you were talking about, correct?
Yeah,
Okay. But I wanted to lean you toward the grant process.
well, we want to go there too, but right now we don't want to lose our momentum.
Mm,
And the grant process, we're gonna come for funding larger than this in the grant.
mm,
So this is to get us, in a position where we can get $600,000 in grants other than from the county, because we have Nick on board and he's ready to go. So
So
we
the-
have a little extra cash. we would take care of Brad and a few others, and we still have that 155 left over. And that would give us a big start at getting grants from everyone else, especially since I see that the $6 million is down to 1.9. Did I hear that correct?
Well, we'll have to see where we're at.
So, you know, I mean, I would like the court to entertain a funding request of 175,000 from the discretionary spending. And that's, you know, line 5-50-512. Oh, that's what my ask would be.
I think you should do the grant process. It's opening on September 1st, so that's a week and a half away, so.
And we also have,
And I think if you're looking for more money down the road, it'd be better to have do that grant ask and have it all spelled out for us. What you're actually asking for.
I also just want to note that there is going to be outreach on those outstanding balances to see what available funds there will be in that $6 million. So
So the 1.9 could go maybe up to almost
It is 2.3.
Yeah, 2.3.
yeah,
Okay,
Mhm.
so,
yeah.
but so you're not unwilling to?
Well, I wasn't prepared to make a decision because on the agenda was just a presentation. So I'm not prepared to make a decision today myself. And we're gonna open up the grant funds right away.
So to get that other 600,000 that you're talking in additional grant funding, that's a projection, I assume, that Mr. Dakota can get for you think?
Yeah, Ducott said that
Ducott,
he can get us 25% matching fund in grants. And so that 150 that we would have as a balance, you know, would make it so that times 4 is 600,000. So that's why I thought it would be a good place to ask was from the discretionary line for that reason. Because it gets us kicked off, it gets us moving. It's important to stay focused on where we're going and keep the march on pace. If we have to keep waiting and
So September 1st, if the funding cycle opens September 1st, and you're able to apply immediately, and we can fund quickly, we have 2 meetings in September. I'm not speaking for everyone. I'm just giving a what if scenario. That's gonna be fairly quick in September, if that occurred for the 175.
okay, so then I guess I'm just gonna have to ask you straight out, what are you saving the discretionary money for?
Well, I can't speak to that because I didn't know that was gonna be a question. I've been on the job for about 10 weeks and I can't speak to where that money goes without studying the budget or speaking to our treasurer or our finance director. So I wouldn't be able to, I don't know if it's being saved or it's absorbed in the budget. Do you know, Leah?
Well, I thought that the grants all were rolling forward and so, yeah.
Yeah.
So
We just gotta be careful about setting precedent.
Yeah, because
Our
then
other
everybody's gonna
scenario-
come in and go, hey, give me money out of that line item.
Yeah.
I think they set up
don't
a
put it in
grant.
there if you don't
I
want people
think
to ask for it.
I think, well, you could virtually ask for any line
Yeah.
item in any of these then, Lynn.
Yeah.
Yes, I know it.
But,
I think we're trying to give you an alternative, way to move forward quickly.
Okay, but I would like an answer on whether or not that money is available for anything in the nature of what I'm trying to
The
ask.
discretionary.
I
Yeah,
can't speak
yeah.
to that because I do not.
You mean
know
like the
where
whole
it's
5 million or what?
No,
Part?
there's 500,000 and I was wanting to have 175 of it. So, I'm asking for way less than half of it. And it's to keep our momentum going, it's to get our 600,000 grant ask in the pipeline, not wait, a month more and keep waiting. We have another issue that we have logs that we have to order. And if those logs don't get ordered before October 1st, That throws us off a complete year, and the logs will cost $200,000 more the following year.
So there were, north and south end special project money, and there was operational support money that was available. When were those grants out? Last spring,
April.
and we awarded those, but then there was no application from the Woolery then. Go ahead, Denise.
He was told by the court when they gave him $10,000, do not come to the court for any additional funding.
Okay.
I don't think there's been an.
And, okay, again, which court was that? Because it's not a court I was ever part of. And I actually had a long conversation with Rod, so we're dredging up the past.
Okay, that's fine. Let's just go ahead and move on.
I did apply, but I never got any feedback.
Okay, we never found an application. We went and looked. We saw that you had signed up for Kelly Nonprofit Consulting or provided a letter of interest, a response to that, but we couldn't find an application. So,
For a special project
Yes.
grant?
Well, I don't remember how it went, but Schaefer has a copy of the thing that I sent in.
Yeah.
Can
that
I have
was-
a timeout here, please?
Uh-huh.
Leah, I agree with you. Let's not judge it past.
Yeah.
We're citizens here that want to move forward. I don't want to have any responsibility that's trying to put a bad light on anybody. I just want to say, hey, we got a great project here.
You do.
And it's a fantastic thing for Condon. Will fill every room they have and every bed and breakfast they have when you have an event here. And it's good for everyone, good for the whole county. So
I think the thing about it
I
is,
want you on board of all people because you know numbers. You know how to look at a budget. You know how to read that kind of stuff and understand it. And I appreciate that. So Leah, I'm looking forward to trying to work with you.
And
don't have any
I
bad
think, I
history
don't
with you.
think that the court is saying no. I think the court is just saying, we have a grant process. And put your grant idea forward.
Yeah.
Okay.
I absolutely do too. I want you to.
well, I think also, I'd like to add too, I know you guys have been working on this a long time, and this is such a unique building, and I do think that if there's a time right, I think you're coming into it. And, we've heard of some developments, maybe possibly whatever, but this sounds like there's nothing around here that compares to this.
If there is
And it's-
anything on the west coast
and
that
it's-
will match or beat this.
And, and I'm just going by, like the Port of Morrow, their room. I think that's booked even for weddings a couple years ahead out or whatever. And, this could be, the other thing I like about this thing is if this happens, I don't see how it's gonna affect any local business in a bad way. It's not gonna compete with local businesses. It's gonna bring more business
Yeah.
here. And
I think those are good points. And I also think, you do bring up this county discretionary. I cannot speak to that right now, but maybe there's a way for us to make that 6 million whole somehow. Budget-wise, throughout the budget, and find a way to fix that issue that occurred. And it may be something that's solvable by determining if they're gonna spend that money this budget year on some of those major projects, and then see what that dollar amount is. So.
with some of the pre-approved.
That might be a good question to ask the incoming auditors
Yes.
too.
Yeah, and we, so if that's something we want to do and make that, well, it's actually 5 million, because $1 million of that was operational support.
Which that's
So-
gone.
I just want to ask this question though too, and maybe, I don't know, Brooke, I don't know how we go back, but has the court, like Lynn asked the question about the discretionary funding. If it's there, then why is it there? I mean, was there been a history where it has been used? Because
Well-
I was thinking almost that,
I think they've used it for different things, but I think the whole idea was to take part of those SIP funds and put them into this grant process and have a process for people to be able to come in and ask money instead of having,
Right,
everybody.
yeah.
And the reason they opened it up, they opened it up and then people didn't have ideas right then, they might have, but they might come up with it in the winter time. So that's why they opened it up and did cycles on it.
Revolving, yes. One thing we need in our budget, we need to have narratives in our budget so that we understand what are these funds used for? What's the history? So that's one of my goals in the future is to.
Well, if I had the one that I had during the budget meetings that I scribbled all over.
Yeah, it would help, I think.
So
There's a lot to it.
the discretionary fund in 21-22 was 100,000, 111,000. In 22-23, it was 38,000. And then for some reason, somebody thought that 23-24, maybe they had some pet projects in mind or something, but they said, let's bump that to 500,000. So discretionary, like the mayor of Arlington has a discretionary fund. That's for him. If he comes up with something that he thinks is a great idea, he takes it to council and the council says, yeah, spend your discretionary money on that. So what I'm doing is I'm coming up with a great idea. I'm bringing it to you guys. You have a discretionary fund. I would like to use it for you.
I'm not gonna make a decision today. I'm gonna ask you to please apply for the capital investment grant. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation, actually.
Thank you, Lynn. Okay. We're almost done. Next meeting, other business. Is there any other business? Next meeting?
Did you have any more thoughts on the endowment fund?
Oh,
because the other thing I thought about is that Anya, since she's kind of has that legal eagle part of her, would probably be a great help with the 5013C formation and stuff.
I thought you were gonna do it, Leah.
Oh, well, I was gonna do it, but I was letting you mold it through, remember?
Oh, yeah, I said I have not given it more thought.
Okay.
But, I haven't.
So maybe I can sit down with Anya and we can sit down and see what the steps would take to do that and then bring that forth.
Okay. Sure.
Because I just know from past things that process takes a while, so.
Okay.
That's one thing I had, if you're ready. I just want to mention, I did attend Korea meeting, the executive one, Leah's the alternate.
Yeah.
Norcor, I was unable to attend the other meeting, Zoom the other day with things at work. I'm got a meeting coming up and they have another meeting scheduled this coming September. I will make that one in person. I wanted to just pass on.
Do they have one tomorrow?
No.
Norcor?
No. I don't know.
In August?
They have one next Monday. They're having a staff meeting on me. I'm going to meet with some people. And I just wanted to a little bit, I've met with Waste Management. I'm trying to get in contact with Mr. Hosapple and Dewey and trying to get some stuff going on the road project.
And Alan Anderson, maybe?
Yes, I've already met with Alan earlier this week and everybody's on board. Like I say, I just haven't had a conversation with Mr. Hosapple. But speaking with Dewey and everything, some of the other stuff, I think that the biggest thing is getting the RFP for the surveying, engineering, study costs to get that proposal.
And planning.
Yes.
We've got to make sure planning.
And that's kind of the big thing. So I have a couple other questions that we'll get to, but just trying to move that forward.
So the higher ups in Waste Management are on board?
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay.
And
because that's basically where it was left at. I think when we had our meeting, was that they were gonna have to go to them and.
Yeah, I think
Now is Dewey he's gonna go ahead and chip seal that other, he did that already?
the existing one,
Yeah,
to my knowledge, he just did the patching. I don't know about a chip seal on that yet.
okay, maybe that's all he was doing was the patching.
Okay, and that's been done. So just, I think he's trying not to put any more money into that road than he absolutely has to.
Yeah,
And
they were just gonna try to Band-Aid it.
Yes. So, but anyway, Dewey's pretty confident that they can do it for way less than half of what It wouldn't have to be contracted, but
That'll be great.
anyway, just little
Mhm.
information.
Good. Do you have anything, Leah?
No, I have a Capco meeting tomorrow that I'll do on Teams, so, other than that, I may be going in surgery in September, so.
So that brings us to September 4th. Will you be here September 4th?
Yeah, I should be.
Okay, then we'll play the next one by ear and see where you're at, which would be the 18th.
Which I can always attend
Virtually.
via, yeah.
Okay,
September 4th.
okay, so
And the Gillum County Fair
oh, yes.
starts next week for everybody, so
So
early this year.
planning services contract with the city of Boardman is in place, the transition's been made, and work is underway, the website's been updated, and records have been transferred. That's all set. It's transferred out of Matt Davis's and into Stephanie Case and Carla McLean. So I feel good about that.
So are they coming to Conan now?
They are coming, she was here about a week ago, so
Okay.
she's coming
Weekly?
periodically.
Okay.
Mhm. What they're doing is when there's multiple cases, they're gonna come rather than come on a Tuesday and nobody be here or Wednesday.
Mhm.
So when there's multiple people that wanna see her, they'll come then. Broadband technical assistant grant, everything is in the works on that. That's the pole setting, that's moving forward. Shelter Station Industrial Park, Ardent Mills lease is coming up spring of 2025. Initial negotiations have begun. The original lease was 20 years old, so it's been a long time since that one has been looked at. Shelter Station Grain Lab, Anya has done some initial research and she's working on researching with Economic Development Administration documentation needed for spring of 25, where we could use the building unencumbered. We just
That's
gotta
when
know-
they get out from underneath.
Yeah, we gotta find out, what does the Economic Development Administration require for documentation for us to be free and clear? Because Ardent Mills hasn't come forward on there. And if this is gonna happen in the spring of 25, that's just around the corner. And then we could maybe use it for whatever we wanted.
Is that why they backed out of it?
I don't know. They
Yeah.
just didn't like some of the stipulations that were in that lease.
Oh, okay.
And I told them to give me put that in writing and we'll go back, and they never did. So, Omega Morgan contract was negotiated. We took care of that today. Leaning Juniper 2 repower project and initial meetings planned with Darren Kavanaugh. That's the new Brian Wolf. What's his name? Brian Wolf, the solar.
Oh.
Yeah, this is the new guy.
Yeah, Brian Walsh.
This is going to involve some discussions of a new SIP potentially, because it was a SIP that ran out, but this is a repower. And we're talking with the attorney to find out if they're eligible, which Business Oregon isn't gonna allow them to do it if they aren't eligible, but they believe they're eligible for a new SIP under the repower. So that's interesting. EV charging, the legal counsel reviewed it, approved the grant agreement, signed and returned the grant. This is a grant with a 10-year window. I don't know, did you know that? They have 10 years to complete it. I don't know how quick this is gonna happen because ODOT does the project.
They're the ones, they put the EV stations in?
Mhm.
Oh, God.
They applied on our behalf. It's a federal grant, ODOT applied on Gillum County's behalf. So we'll see how that all plays out. The deflection program, work with Kara and Community Counseling Solutions, Lone Rock Fire, went to a community meeting for that. Cedar Springs Road relocation grant talked about. Finance, the audit schedule for September 3rd, 24. The transition to a new accounting system will begin October of 24. We're gonna have a staff barbecue on September 5th. Sat in on interviews for the deputy clerk position. Going to meet with Nate Stice, Regional Solutions next week. And we have Anya now, which is such a relief, and she is working so hard and she's so bright. And just a blessing. And she's just what we needed. So she's working, trying to sort through the cultural coalition because that was another victim of circumstance. We don't know where the grants were left. We're trying to communicate with them to figure out what to do. She's working on setting up a citizen advisory meeting for landfill. And that actually, is it set?
It is September 17th.
September 17th. So that's happening. She's accomplished working on the website, getting the agendas on by herself, so we don't have to rely on another tech person to do that. She has worked on all the committee assignments, reached out to all the commissioners to make sure that we know how to, what committees we're on, when are the meetings, all of that. We've been working on a DEQ recycling report. Which,
Oh, yeah, I started on that and then I was like, this is gonna have to go to the back burner.
yes, yeah, that was an interesting one. So we have reached out to the city of Arlington and Waste Management and going to reach out to the city of Condon. It sounds like they want us to do a newsletter, something in writing and on
So,
our website.
Did they send you the report that was sent?
Yeah,
the year
and it
before
wasn't
that-
accepted. The one Delaney did was, but the one from 23, they didn't accept
Okay.
because she said it was a regurgitation of the prior year's information.
Well,
I
it's
know.
not a lot changed. It's-
Well, I do
They,
know
they
that-
wanted all this stuff from Arlington and then I called Arlington. They said, we don't have any of this.
Right, so Arlington took their recyclable bins out of downtown because they were being abused.
Mhm.
People were putting garbage in them, but they do have cardboard behind the grocery store. So that's all they have, and they don't have any curbside. So we were gathering all that evidence so we can just report where it is right now.
It's like, it's not like we're a
It's-
big metropolis.
I know, but
county.
she said we could get fined, and that scared me. Like, we gotta figure this out. Anya also made contact with AOC to register us for county college and the annual conference.
January.
And she's really good at research projects, so she's been doing some legal research and things like that. I also came across the agreement for, this will be a discussion for another time, but we're gonna have to talk about this soon. Waste management host fee and road maintenance agreement, as well as chemical waste management host fee and maintenance agreement will expire December of 25. So we're probably going to have to,
Even with the new contract that they just got not too long ago.
this is between Gillum County and them. This is the host fees.
Just,
Mhm.
not, okay.
Yeah, this is just the host.
The
fees.
host fees alone.
Yeah,
Well,
this
that is
isn't
coming up.
Metro, this is the host fee contract, so it's gonna be negotiating that. And so just think about who we
In
want to.
25.
Yeah, it expires December of 25, so this
Okay.
December is December of 24, it could take, I think
Yeah.
we should start on a year ahead of time.
Yeah, okay.
To
End of-
figure
end of
that one
25
out.
Expires.
Uh-huh.
How long was the last one?
It was 9 years. And then they made the Kim Waste one coincide with the waste management one, because they were out of sync, so now they're in sync. So, yeah, so that's what I got. Is there anything else? Okay, no further business, this meeting is adjourned.